Calvert-Lewin, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Kane, Madueke, Palmer, Rashford, Saka and Solanke. No Watkins in the squad. No Trent Alexander-Arnold in the squad. And actually, Gabby Bonneho's last statement before we went to the break was, do we think we're that good that we can afford to not have a Real Madrid right back in a 35-man squad?
Incredible.
I was looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold and his statistics. He's started 7 of the last 8. He's played 90 minutes since his return from injury. You were impressed with him, were you, in the game against Manchester City?
I was, both legs. Yes, he had a lot of help from Valverde and other players on that side, but when he was 1v1 with Doku, he done very well. It just baffles me. I get it. Trent is not the best of defenders. I get it.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. After Mikel Arteta kept Kepa in nets for the Carabao Cup final, saying he had to do what was right, honest and fair, talkSPORT's Emmanuel Petit's questioned that call.
It's nice for him to say that, but at this point, don't make feelings. You know, we are talking about trophy, about winning a game.
Pep Guardiola says his feelings got the better of him, but he didn't mean to disrespect anyone with those wild celebrations as a dominant Man City ran out 2-0 winners at Wembley. Meanwhile, Manu Petit's also taken aim at Liam Rossini this morning, who he says should have thought twice before accepting the Chelsea job.
He's a good manager, but he's still young. He has to learn, so many things, before managing a top club like Chelsea. And it was a pity to watch him, on the bench so many times.
Petit doesn't think the Chelsea players are responding well to Rossini's tactical notes and says he's treating them like kids. Christian Romero says Spurs now have 7 cup finals to save their season, 1 place off relegation following that 3-0 home defeat to Forest. talkSPORT's Henry Winter says Spurs should have got rid of Igor Tudor ages ago.
They could have got Robbie Keane in. Someone like him with his DNA, because people talk about, they want to get an elite manager in. You're not going to get an elite manager in if you're in the Championship.
And going into the international break, Dan Ballard's set to miss Northern Ireland's playoff with Italy. We're hearing Harvey Barnes will replace the injured Eberici Eze in the England squad. England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT on Friday night. More at talkSPORT.com.
talkSPORT News.
Police are searching for 3 suspects after 4 Jewish community ambulances were set on fire in North London. And ministers are meeting to discuss rising living costs linked to the Middle East conflict. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. You can't trust the weather right now, but you can always trust Pirelli tyres. In stock now at your local centre. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
In England and Wales, a dry day with hazy sunshine, cloud and rain moving into Scotland this afternoon, windy in the north and gales in northern Scotland.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT. So Manchester City sweep Arsenal aside to win the Carabao Cup. Did anyone see such a dominant, one-sided affair coming? Meanwhile, is the die being cast for a London relegation fight between West Ham and Spurs? Also today, have Sunderland stolen the North East limelight? What's happened to Bukayo Saka? 19 games into the Rosinha tenure, what have we learned? Are Everton in a late burst for Europe? And is Arne Slot taking a page out of the Klopp playbook? It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. We're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Simon, if anyone ever needs to know what it takes to be an Arsenal invincible, I saw it yesterday in Martin Keown. Martin, good morning.
Good morning, Jim.
Simon, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm leaving Wembley about 8 o'clock last night after Manchester City lifted the trophy, etc. And there's Mr. Keown surrounded by Arsenal fans, and you're signing autographs, and there's a lot of banter. And I think you brightened up those lads as they left Wembley last night, Martin. Good morning again.
Yeah, it's a difficult day for the Arsenal fans, but you know what I haven't heard yet is congratulations to Man City. I thought they were absolutely magnificent.
Yeah,
we can never discount Pep and his record for, you know, sometimes in a final he can change the tactics and get it wrong, but he changed the tactics against Arsenal. It was really significant, and they dominate proceedings. So congratulations to City.
Well, they dominate, but that's the thing, Martin. Did anyone see such a dominant one-sided affair coming?
Do you know, we need to look at the tactics, because what they did, they went to press Arsenal, and they had two withdrawn strikers, so they didn't really go up against them, Cherki and Haaland. But the wide players were magnificent because they blocked all the passes to the fullbacks, so Arsenal just couldn't get out. And it was with Kepa most of the time, and the two Arsenal players at the back that you want to have the ball, shall we say.
Yeah.
And they couldn't then develop things. I thought we'd get to half-time. I thought there wasn't much in it first half. Second half, I thought I'd see a difference where Arsenal would try and go long, maybe try and go to Havertz perhaps and build around that. But we spent the whole game watching them press. What Bernardo Silva, who's the artful dodger, thought he was magnificent in the game. Arsenal need a player like that going forward.
Did they freeze?
He kicked the ball straight out of play at the start of the game to say, right, okay, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, I saw that.
You're going to have possession,
yeah.
and you're going to have to try and play out.
But Martin, did Arsenal
couldn't find a solution?
Did they freeze in that second half?
No, I don't think it's about freezing. I think I'm trying to set out the tactics from Pep. I think we have to acknowledge that. You have to look at what the opponent did, and it gave them the platform to go and win the game. But Arsenal should have made that change. They should have found a solution to that. I think they were hampered a little bit without Eze available. Ødegaard, the captain, maybe his relationship with Saka is and his absence is affecting. Saka didn't seem to be the same player on the day. But you lick your wounds. You have to learn from it.
Of course.
And I think the manager does do that. He's a quick learner. People are going to say it's 5 years now, but they're on the way to maybe doing something. There's still 3 trophies. It's not an end of season. Look back and say it's all over. This is something they're going to have to learn from, and learn from fast.
Yeah. I suppose, Simon, many of the Arsenal fans were saying to me on the way out, well, if we're going to lose one, then sure, the Carabao Cup is one. We desperately want to win that Premier League, and we also want to win the Champions League. So it's not if everything's been thrown aside. No chance.
No chance. I mean, listen, that performance for Arsenal was...
Did you even watch it?
I watched aspects of it, Martin.
Were you watching, Simon?
Was I watching it?
Because we were both there. So if you're going to say, and you informed speak now, what did you see or did you hear?
What did I?
Or you gone with the narrative?
What did I see?
How
or what did I
did
hear?
you watch the game?
I watched aspects of the game. I thought Arsenal were poor, and I felt that it doesn't necessarily mean they've frozen. I just don't think they're a great Arsenal side. I think they'll win the Premier League, but I think that's about all they'll win. That's still a magnificent achievement.
Yeah.
And I've been quite defensive of Arsenal against the backdrop of people's observations about making asterisks against their performance and their set piece that. I don't think that's a fair observation. But this is not a great Arsenal side. This is an Arsenal side that will win a slightly pedestrian Premier League in terms of the challenge that's going towards winning it, because this isn't a great Man City side either. It was a good performance from Man City yesterday. You have to give the opposition credit, but it was a poor performance from Arsenal in the second half.
Why do you think they're not a great side, Simon?
I don't know, component parts. I mean, the alchemy of a great side is you have great players that can set the pace of the game and can set the tone of the game, and Arsenal sometimes don't have that. They have some very powerful, gifted players and people like Declan Rice. But like Martin was saying before he's going off on some silly little tangent trying to make a point, is that you need mercurial players in the middle of the park that can change games. And they didn't seem to have it yesterday, and they don't seem to have it this season. But that can't necessarily be used as a bludgeoning tool just to keep bashing Arsenal. They win the Premier League. They deserve to win the Premier League. But there's no chance when they come up against the elites in the European competition they'll win the Champions League. Listen, I'm happy to be wrong, and we'll see at the end of the season. But I think you have to take it in isolation. You have to look at it. I don't think you can say Arsenal froze. They just weren't good enough. And blaming it all on Kepa is a false economy.
I think that's fair.
I think Simon's assessment is quite a fair one.
100%. 100%. I do feel, though, that Rodri and Bernardo Silva particularly, Bernardo Silva played out of the structure and he was sort of given a free role. And he's a player that knows how to win. So that aspect comes into it as well. But tactically, it's probably Man City's best performance of the season. And it gives them something to fight for now. They know they've laid it all out.
But Martin, here's the thing. No Diaz and no Guehi. And yet Arsenal failed to lay a glove on City.
Because they made it about, as I said, Bernardo Silva rolls the ball out for a goal.
But where was the reaction?
Well,
2 down. People around me were thinking, watch them now. They'll come back into
we couldn't get. If you think of going to the goal as a rung on the ladder, we couldn't get past the first rung because we couldn't get that foundation at the bottom of our midfield because of the structure, the way they stopped us from coming. Whether that's the assistant manager who was at Liverpool who loves to press, it was very clever, Jim. But he'll find a solution to that going forward. Yeah. But I just felt the one thing with Raya is Jimmy. He could play in midfield. Raya, he's technically gifted. And Kepa couldn't find those range of passes when you need to find a solution, okay?
We have to praise the side that won it and the manager who won it. Pep Guardiola is the first manager in the competition's history to win the League Cup 5 times. 5 times. In comparison, and I know, Mark, you're not going to like it, Arsenal have now lost their last 4 League Cup finals. The wait goes on for Arteta's second trophy since his first, and that was the FA Cup back in 2020. But it was City's day, and this was Pep.
I said in the beginning, it's so difficult win titles. It doesn't matter which one. It's not a Premier League, Champions League, I know that, but it's so difficult. The opponents are so good. The opponents are incredible. They're well prepared. The amount of games, the amount of seasons. And every time I win it, I said, oh, win another one? Which one? If I got the Premier League, Champions League, it's so difficult. But what made me feel that is remember, because I was winning a title, remember what we have done together in 10 years, winning 19 titles in 10 years in the modern era in England, in Europe. It's the heads off for all organization. It's the amount of the consistency.
Here's the thing, Simon. Does this final and the nature of the victory have any impact for the title race going forward? Or have Arsenal done enough to see themselves over the line?
I think they will win the Premier League, so I don't think it does. I think it creates an opportunity for people to believe that Man City can obviously beat Arsenal now. They've overcome Arsenal for the first time in a few seasons. Everyone will look at the game that's coming up at the Etihad as a key game, and it may well prove to be, but I think Arsenal will still win the league, and I still maintain my view that they'll win it quite comfortably, not because they're a brilliant side. I don't think this is a brilliant Premier League this year, and I'm not trying to do Arsenal down before Martin gets all paranoid. I'm just looking at it from the point of view of seeing it objectively. So I don't think it does, but what it does is it creates intrigue around the possibility.
Yeah. The thing is, Martin, and of course you remember it, in your invincible season, but in a fairly brief amount of time, you went from 3 trophies to 1, right?
In 1 week, yeah.
In 1 week. So we can see what happens psychologically. How does this dressing room, after yesterday, bring itself back?
To make it worse than that, I remember half-time against Liverpool, because Liverpool were beating us. And what the team was guilty of at that point was feeling sorry for itself. So some harsh words were discussed at half-time. Rarely did I speak it because Wenger just controlled everything, and that was fine because it was that kind of environment. But I just felt the team were perhaps
bonus for everybody.
Yeah, I think Wenger appreciated actually. Well, he put me on at the end of the game because he said what you said at half time really lifted us just to put Simon away. So I reminded the players of how good they were. That's all it was. These were great players, by the way, Jim. Some of the best players I ever take to the football pitch. You think about them, superstars. But they were feeling guilty of feeling sorry for themselves.
So the players then dragged themselves
so when you poke them a little bit...
Does this current team have the characters?
What I'm telling you is that's what it took back then. Now, the similar thing will happen here. There's going to have to be a reaction. There's winners in there, don't worry.
Who's going to stand up now? Who's going to give it? This is how we've got to do it.
We can't say one day that against Leverkusen that Declan Rice is magnificent and a leader, and then the next day it's gone, it's disappeared. No, it's there. You know, you got Gabriel Saliba at the back. Thought they were actually quite good in the game without the ball. You know, I thought Declan played really well in the match. So, you've got to build from there, and the characters are in the group, Jim. They're going to have to go and prove that now. They're 9 points clear.
Do you really believe that there are characters in that group?
Of course I do.
There were in your invincible side. You were one of them, but they stood up and they were counted.
The
Are
manager.
there honestly characters in that Arsenal
Of course,
side?
well, they've shown,
who will
they've
say
shown it all
right?
season. Well, they've only lost 4 games out of 50, haven't they? So, like, we can't have this great big inquest every time there's a defeat. It's how you respond, and they've already shown good signs of bouncing back.
Well, you do
when
have
there's
to
been
have,
disappointments.
you do have to have an inquest if you're playing your major rivals in a cup final and you get beaten outside. I mean, this current Arsenal side couldn't lace the boots of the team that you formed part of the Invincibles.
It's one more games than us.
Or whatever it was. The fact of the matter is, it is a game that people will look at, and it's right to look at it because you're playing against the side that people perceive are trying to chase you down. And then the narrative would have been, if we'd been sat here today with Arsenal winning, there'd be a different narrative. There'd be Arsenal are now seeded in people's minds as they've done City. They've beaten them in the League Cup final. So you're going to have the polar opposite. And when you play as badly in a cup final as Arsenal did in the second half yesterday, people are going to have a go at it.
Yeah.
People are going to look at it and say,
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't throw out the dishes with the dirty washing, do we? At this particular dirty water at this point, you have to stick together
baby up with the
as a
bathwater.
club. You know, you that's what they're going to be trying to do now. Okay, they go away to their international clubs, but they come back to a nice situation. I wouldn't mind coming back with 3 opportunities to be successful at a football club. Who else is doing that when they, from these international get-togethers?
At 10:15, I'll put it out there. Arsenal fans, and we'll get more on City shortly, but what does yesterday do at this particular stage in the proceedings? Does it knock your resolve or harden it? And is Martin right? The characters undeniably are in that dressing room, just like the ones he had in the Invincible era, who will stand up and be counted. Will they? You might want to give me a call on that. 03717 223344. Ari and Ish on that tube back in from Wembley Park. Really enjoyed your chat back in. 2 big Arsenal fans. Good morning to both of you at 10:15.
Is Eze England's best option now at number 10?
Oh,
No.
I think you've got so many options. I mean, I would say nay at the moment, yeah.
For who?
Well, you're looking at, there's so many players can play in there, aren't there? Well, Andy Sanders has just said Rodgers should be better on the left, but he can also play on number 10. You've got Bellingham, who, look, whatever season he's had, he does turn up for the big games. He can play in big games. Would he be in front of Eze? Look, Eze scored a cracking goal the other night. There's no doubt in that. And he's banged one in the FA Cup the other day. He's starting to score a few more goals, which is very important. But I'll still I don't think he'll be in that starting number 10.
No, Bellingham for me. You can't ignore Bellingham's talent, and people who do really need to take a look at
But
themselves.
Eze, he's putting pressure. He's putting pressure on himself. Don't get me wrong. He's putting
Isn't it?
pressure on.
Jude Bellingham doesn't get the credit he deserves for the
No.
career he's had already.
He's a young lad.
Because he
isn't he?
rates himself. People hate him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you can be confident in your own ability.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be overconfident. But you still got to be confident. You ain't going to be a player if you're not confident going forward.
Do you remember with your interview with Thomas Tuchel when he was like, I mean, my mother finds him repulsive? I was like,
I don't.
did you come back from that?
He's not scared to leave one out. Tuchel though. He ain't going to just
No.
pick you for the sake of it.
Good morning, everybody. It is 20 past 10 on this Monday morning. Monday, March the 23rd. Good morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown in studio. And we're picking over the bones, of course, of that Carabao Cup final. Lots of reaction coming up. We're going to take so many calls are coming in. Many of them Arsenal fans, Luke, right? We're going to be taking calls from 11:15. I had a chat with Nico O'Reilly yesterday in the mix zone after the game. You'll hear some of that. Well, me and a whole bunch of other broadcast and written media were in there. But various questions have got to be asked after this cup final. One of them being, and I heard this on the way out, are managers right, Simon, to go for sentimentality in cup finals? The reason I ask, Kepa has been the cup goalkeeper this season for Arsenal. He was chosen ahead of Raya, Arsenal's number one, for the final. As intriguingly was Trafford for Donnarumma in the City end. But it was Kepa's mistake that led to Nico O'Reilly's first goal. And Kepa, as we know, has an interesting backstory here of League Cup finals, having twice lost when at Chelsea. Before we hear Arteta, do you understand why this happens?
Yeah, of course you do. Because you've got a winning team that's winning in this competition. You've got a squad that you want to rotate. Of course, people are going to make a narrative that you've got a cup final against your major rivals. You need to put your best side out. They didn't. If Arsenal asked more questions about Trafford, we might have found some inconsistencies in his game. They didn't. They asked one question with a Havertz chance. Other than that, not much. And the shot that hit the post. The fact of the matter is that he is a goalkeeper that's got high quality at times and erratic at others. And, you know, Arsenal didn't do enough to get him out of the cart for the mistake that he made. He made a mistake. People make mistakes. Goalkeepers make mistakes. They didn't lose that cup final because Kepa made a mistake. They didn't help the case, and it didn't, create a platform for them to build from. But they didn't create any outcomes themselves to get themselves back in the game. So I understand Arteta's reasons for doing it. I understand the same reasons that his idol did, which was Trafford played in the cup competition. He gave him a head start. Yeah. He gave him a starting lineup, and so Arteta did the same, not because he was following Pep's example, because that's the background he probably comes from. That's seeded in his mentality. He's learned at the feet of Pep Guardiola, as we are often told. So there's no surprise to me there. The disappointment is that the goalkeeper created the backstory now, rather than the fact that is a side story. Of course it's relevant. Of course Arsenal conceding a goal as a result of the goalkeeper running,
didn't it?
It did, but that doesn't mean that Arsenal shouldn't have enough about them to come back into the game. That doesn't mean that the potential Premier League champions, the side that's dominated the Champions League group stages, shouldn't have it in their locker to be able to land a glove on Manchester City, who didn't have their best central defensive unit out, and things of that nature. So there's many other questions that could be asked.
The thing is, I hear what Simon's saying, but isn't it about fine margins in a game like this, Martin? And that undeniably gave City the edge when Kepa ballsed up. Sorry, but he did. And it got City on the score sheet, and off they went, and they never looked back.
But the game had an inevitability about it, didn't it? You were watching it thinking, Arsenal are getting hurt here. They're going to concede. And it was right on the 60 minutes. Game management, we talk about it, said Arsenal, time wasting, whatever. None of that was happening. They didn't make any changes. Maybe it was just felt, okay, I haven't got necessarily, no Odegaard on the bench, no Eze. I can't change things. They could, and they kept on trying to pass out from the back. Jim, I was watching from the left-hand side of the pitch, and I spent the whole game looking to the right and thinking, well, why are Arsenal not trying to play the ball long, So it was a combination of things. Kepa was in the game far too much. He nearly gets sent off. He gets a booking. I think it's difficult to take somebody off at that point. When you sign a goalkeeper who travels the length and breadth of Europe, all over the place, doesn't really play, and he plays in the cup competitions, and he's done well in the cup competitions. To be fair to him, it's a difficult decision. It's a difficult decision. The longer I'm out of the game, I understand it. It's about the group. But
he's a number two for a reason.
Well, Wenger did a lot of this at the start, and I wasn't with it because I was thinking, no. Surely we play the number one goalkeeper but you have to have that kind of look. If Raya gets injured in the next couple of games and he has to come in, it's like and you've binned him for the final, which is more devastating, the mistake he made in the actual match itself, or actually been pulled from the team.
In actual fact, Martin, now that you say that, but Arteta post-match said, no, playing Kepa, it was the right and fair decision.
I understand that, but I have to do what I feel is right, which is honest and which is fair. And I think we have an outstanding keeper on Kepa. He's played all the competition, and I think it would have been very, very unfair for him and for the team to do something different. We are guided by what we've seen, and when he's done what he's done in the competition, and he helped us to go all the way through here, it's. I believe it's the right thing to do, and that's it. And errors are part of football, and today happened, unfortunately, in a crucial moment.
The hard question to address is this, Martin. Is it unfair for the inevitable questions around Arsenal's bottle to come into play now after this result? Or as they fall short again in getting over the line, is it perfectly legitimate to throw that at them?
No, I don't believe so. Not if you'd have been at the game, Jim, you experienced the match. I didn't think it was coming down to bottle. They've shown enough bottle this season. You know, that question mark will come from the people who want that narrative. So, you know, if that noise is there, you just shut that out and you gather together. You know, I think the story of the game was really Man City and how their manager was really impressive with their tactics and they just strangled the life out of Arsenal. And Arsenal weren't creative enough, Jim. But you needed to get the ball into the final third and they weren't able to progress the ball through the pitch. And I thought the midfield players, probably Roderi's best game of the season, Bernardo Silva, was just running the show.
Yeah.
And that now, this is a dress rehearsal for this game now at the Etihad. Arsenal, Man City.
I'm not trying. Believe me, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. But would you not accept this morning, Martin, that this is another example of Arsenal not delivering on the big occasion?
No, because
falling short on the big
because
occasion.
you get to the final and if the two heavyweights and anyone can win. You know, knockout, anyone can win, and you get the tactics right. Well, you say that, but Arsenal have won in the past, haven't they? So let's not look.
But we're talking about big games.
Well, I can see in this footage that we've got 4 or 5 defeats that Arsenal have lost in the League Cup. There's nothing to do with this group, by the way. This group is moving towards trying to win trophies. The question marks will come, Jim. Yeah, of course. But what they've got to do now is they've got to prove that you're wrong. So if you're trying to create that narrative this morning and you're part of that group, then Arsenal need to disprove that, don't they? They need to make sure they go and win.
It's not creating any narrative.
No, because
these are facts that we're throwing in this morning. The wait goes on for Arteta's second trophy. His first was the FA Cup in 2020. Fact.
Yeah, but there is progression. And they are still in 3 competitions. Let's have this conversation at the end of the season, Jim. And if Arsenal, you'd reflect. You'd be massively disappointed if you didn't come away with any trophy between now and the end of the season. They've got to correct this, and they've got to do it quickly. And by the way, Man City are really in the race now, as if they were ever. Of course they are. I know. Why have I been cautious all along? Why have you not committed me to say, "Oh, Arsenal are definitely going to win this"? Because I'm respectful of Pep and what he can gather and the force he can create. And the players that were doing nothing, this same group, basically, a lot of these players played against Leverkusen, lost 2-0 in the Champions League. Now they're playing.
You're respectful of Pep, but do you have insecurities about Arsenal?
No, not at all. I think they'll respond. And they've proved that this season as well.
Based on history, that doesn't suggest that they will.
You have to create your own history. You look at what's been achieved at the football club to inspire you, and then you're not frightened of that, and you go and create your own history, your own memories. And that's where they are right now.
So based on recent history, when they haven't got over the line, this is no narrative that anyone's spinning.
But I think it's different now. It's a different group.
Why?
I just feel they found a way to win this season, and the backs have been to the wall. Yesterday was almost a gimme in a way. It wasn't the same pressures, perhaps, as the Premier League. I felt that going to the game. Okay, there's been the Champions League, got to win. You know, all these got to win games. Of course, you've got to win a final.
Yeah.
And I think it's a chance, a reality check for the players. But now you use it, don't you? You use it as energy.
You might not be surprised to hear that a lot of people get in touch. Daniel Dean, good morning, guys. Why can't Martin call a spade a spade? Arsenal didn't turn up. They assumed they'd win it, but they didn't win it. They got beaten. Big players hid on the day.
No, I didn't say that, Jim. I haven't said players hid it. I started the show by saying congratulations to Man City. I'm magnanimous in that. They were brilliant in the game, and the tactics were quite. You've got to perform. That's only a platform, by the way. You have to carry out the plan.
Here's another one. Martin, good morning. Forget tactics. Your boys had the first 10 minutes and then looked petrified for some reason. Scared to attack Manchester City. It's crazy, really, considering they're top of the league. Do you go with that? I mean, we didn't see much of a response from Arsenal, and they faded, Martin. Undeniably, they faded.
Pep knew.
And that was a source of big disappointment to the Arsenal fans around me.
Pep knew with the defence he had to do all the defensive work at the top of the pitch, because if we allow it into the front players, they could get destroyed. That didn't happen, but Arsenal's front players, particularly, didn't really turn up in the match, Jim, and that was a problem for them.
So City now thinking, can we catch them in this Premier League race? Maybe they can. But on Arsenal, are Arsenal still in the precipice of what would be a magical season? And it would be. Champions League, maybe. Premier League, certainly. Or are they on the brink of a mad collapse? You might want to tell me. 03717 223344.
How do you feel that Jamie's wearing your mask? How do you feel about that?
I can't even see him. I can't see him.
I haven't got the mask on. I haven't got the mask on.
Fully got
I
it
can't
on.
see it.
Breathing in there the lot.
Do you know what? All I can say is I wish I had the mask on now.
To be fair, you look like Ange.
It's just who we are, mate.
Your team play like
Seriously, though, mate.
Is this it? Can we end it now?
mate. You've turned into a meme club. You are.
Can
You're
we
a
end
meme
this
club.
interview now?
No.
Hold on. Say that again.
You've turned into a meme football club.
I remember. I mean, the last week, I don't think I've ever known a week like it, right? So you go back to Wednesday of last week and 74 minutes on the clock, and you think about what's happened. Conceded 5 goals in 30 minutes.
Slap.
Jesus Christ. Listen,
has anyone seen Candy? Dennis Wise?
Right, okay, hold on.
Solar.
Yeah, hold on.
Listen, who's that?
No, leave it, man. Leave it. No, leave it. No, I'm doing it. No.
Did you think you would come from 3-0 down? Did he think he'd come from 3-0 down?
He was confident. It was encouraging signs, he said.
Are you
Encouraging signs.
I'm a United fan.
He's a bloody United fan.
Hey!
Don't swear.
Come on, boys. Listen, at the end of the day.
Hold on, who are you playing in the Champions League?
No, listen. Who's going to play next year? Who's going to play next year?
Champions League. I'm getting sick of United fans.
Arsenal struggling with the psychological burden of getting this season over the line. Former midfielder Emmanuel Petit has told talkSPORT after Man City's second, only Declan Rice seemed to react.
Try to say to his teammates, come on, guys, it's not over. We have to do something in this game. And but I had the feeling from the stadium where I was seated that the game was already over.
Manu Petit also criticised Mikel Arteta for sticking with Kepa, whose error led to City's first.
Feelings for me are not concerned, but you have to make choices, for the best of the club and the best of the team and the fans.
After City's Carabao Cup win, Pep Guardiola said he didn't mean to disrespect anyone with his wild Wembley celebrations. Elsewhere today, a man from Oldham's been charged with entering a stadium without a ticket at Wembley, the first of its kind under a new law. He's in court in May. If found guilty, he faces a 5-year banning order and a fine of up to £1,000. Now, as we head into the international break, it's thought Dan Ballard will miss Northern Ireland's World Cup playoff with Italy this week. He's got a hamstring injury, while Eberechi Eze is ruled out of this England camp and Harvey Barnes is set to replace him. Don't forget, England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT this Friday night. And Atleti's Antoine Griezmann is set to sign for Orlando City in MLS this summer as a free agent. There's more at talksport.com.
Good morning, everybody. It's all very heavy about Arsenal, isn't it? Arsenal invincible, Martin Keown in studio. I'll lighten the load for a moment, Simon. It suddenly occurred to me. Nick, the cab driver outside the Tate Modern at the weekend. Jim, pass on to Simon. Used to enjoy playing football against him over in Spain. He wasn't a bad player. Would play bare-chested. He looked all right, and he had one of those heart monitors on. Is that right? Did you play like this?
I did. I used to wear a heart rate monitor. I used to be obsessed with a heart rate monitor because I used to get these bloody terrible panic attacks. And I used to manage my heart rate by having I had 3 watches on as well. One watch there, one watch there, one watch there. Loon. I was a loon. But I don't remember playing bare chest.
I was going to say you could have worn a T-shirt on top of it.
He calls me paranoid.
I was paranoid about my health then.
This will take the smile off your face.
I think Declan Rice is a world-class midfielder.
Yes, I do.
Why?
I thought even yesterday that he handled the ball really well. The next step, they tried to put him under pressure. I remember at one point in the game, 3 players around him, he found a pass. I don't think he was the issue yesterday. I think if you're coming for Declan Rice today, then you've got that wrong, Michael. There's other people that you can look at in the 11, and I'll hold my hands up, but I'll defend Declan because I think this season he's been perhaps the one player that stood up on all occasions.
Who are the other players you've got question marks over?
Let Michael tell me, Jim.
I respect your opinion, Martin, but considering you played with the most dominant midfielder the Premier League's ever seen, Mr. Patrick Vieira, what was the problem yesterday we had was that our midfielders, Rice and Zubimendi, who was also useless, were not receiving the ball. They were hiding. They weren't trying to take it on the half turn. They weren't playing the ball forward, and we got suffocated. And as far as I'm aware, unless the game has completely changed and quote-unquote modernised, a world-class player, they elevate their players around them because that's 3 finals now. The European finals against Spain and
Italy. That throughout this whole season that he can adjust. We're in the best position we've ever been in. But from what I can remember, have been in 4 competitions for this long. It's been amazing.
Sure.
I have the belief that they can still go on and win the league and get at least another cup.
Okay.
A lot of fans.
Lloyd, your call must be music to Mr. Keown's ears.
Well, I mean, what I would say is you need balance, don't you? I'm just looking at Man City's our own news program here is saying that Man City are finding form just at the right time. So I go back to have a look, and they've just drawn the last 2 league games. Correct me if I'm wrong. To Forest and West Ham, it was scrambling in this atrocious Premier League that we now play in, where the standard's not very good. They're struggling to beat Forest and West Ham, who are almost at the foot of the table. So you can't say that it's suddenly gone well for Man City. There's been a problem with their team. They've not been the usual Man City. Of course, it was good response yesterday and a really good victory. Yeah. And Pep, when it comes to a trophy, he wants to win. He knows how to do it.
But without Diaz,
if we get some perspective,
they've just beaten Arsenal in a major final.
Can they continue?
Is that not right?
To get these results?
Is that not right?
Can they not continue? Will they continue to do that, Jim? So they play now in the FA Cup, don't they? A big game in the FA Cup against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then in the league they play Chelsea?
Yeah.
Chelsea with problems of their own.
Well, we'll see.
Arsenal have problems.
We'll see. Lloyd, first-time caller or not, it was a good one. Giles, what do you want to say? Are Arsenal still in the precipice of a magical season or a mad collapse? Where are you with it, Giles?
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. Last caller I thought was good, and Curtis as well. I thought he had some points to say. I think there's this kind of knee-jerk reaction to blame players, and pick out players as scapegoats, looking at Kepa or Saka's had it since yesterday. But ultimately, I think what this is a huge lack of preparation on Arteta's part. I think, as the last caller said, it was a game of tactics last night, and we were Man City were the victors. Does it bode well for the rest of the season? It's hard to say. I think in the Premier League, I think Arsenal can. I think we'll still go on and win it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll still go and win it, but I think it will give City that bout of belief that they need. So,
and you're still going to play each other, right?
Still got to play each other at the Etihad. So
who wins that, Giles?
Well, that's tough, isn't it? I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not confident. I'm not confident going to the Etihad.
Yeah. Let's finish. Giles, listen, thanks for the call. Another caller before we hit 11 o'clock. Dave, you've been waiting patiently. Good morning. What do you want to say?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Dave. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Just want to say, obviously, disappointed with the game yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens to Arsenal. They're either brilliant or they just drop off. Like the commentator said, what happened in the second half, they just didn't appear to come out and play.
Yeah. Are you worried now, Dave? Are you still going to go on and have a great end to a season that's been, promising so much?
I think so. I think Martin Keown is right. Most fans, I don't know what it is, but they all seem to dislike Arsenal, and they always think they seem to fall short.
Right.
I think we're going to win the Premier League. And I hope we get to the final of the Champions League. But I think it's going to be a good season. I think we're going to win the Premier League and another cup, which will be a good start.
That'll be all right, won't it?
We seriously need to work out what's going wrong with players. Saka has done nothing this season. Trossard's fallen off.
Right.
They don't seem to do anything.
Keep listening, Dave. We're going to talk specifically about Saka very shortly. We're going to finish with Manchester United fan, Barry. Barry, good morning. Mr. Keown is ready and waiting.
Hi, you.
Hello, Barry. Good morning.
Okay?
Yeah. Go for it, Baz.
I just want to say, every Monday mid-morning, we have to listen to Martin going on and on and on. It just becomes too much, and it's making me want Man City to win because he's just moaning all the time.
Don't put it on me, fella. Don't put it on me, Barry. So all those times when we denied you winning those 3 Premier Leagues back in the day with Ferguson, was that got something to do with it? Yeah, the fact that Man United players, the former players, have all got it against Arsenal. You Man United fans. If you could pick a team without me involved, don't involve me. Just say which is the team you despise the most in the Premier League. Come on, who is it?
We saw what a coward you were when
it's got that big now.
When you were managing,
it's got that big now that you even want your local rivals to win ahead of us. Well done to you. Well done. Look what happened to our local rivals.
To be honest, our main rivals,
Spurs. Start having your own things to go after as a football club. Don't just bash us. When was the day? When was the day Man United wanted to be champions? Will we see that again soon?
What's your results? Yeah, you will see that again, Mark.
Well, because you've got 1 game a week at the moment, haven't you? It's easy for you, isn't
it? Barry, the floor is yours. Finish your call off for me. On you go.
Hey, what score were Man U Arsenal last time we met?
Well, the thing is, let's just put it this way. So we've played 50 games. You're going to play 40 games maximum this season, yeah? Because that's at the moment. What have you? You've got 7 games. You play 33 matches. So you're fresh. When you beat us, you're fresh. You beat Man City as well.
Trophies lately, Man United or Arsenal.
When you had a midweek game, what's the only game you've lost with the new manager? It was against Newcastle when you had a midweek game.
Man United or Arsenal.
You're not at the level anymore. You're not at the level ever Barry.
You haven't even won a cup.
You're getting fun. You get fun out of Arsenal not doing well. Well done to you. If that's the life you want, then fair enough. But it's a shame you can't go after. Get behind your own team, and maybe you get back to those joyous days.
Barry, finish it off for me.
talkSPORT listeners, because you're that boring. Martin's a clown. How are you doing, Simon?
Don't say that, fella. That's disrespectful. It's disrespectful, Barry.
That is disrespectful, Barry. And my God, we're proud of the audience we have. I can assure you of that. Barry, the Manchester United fan, has taken us very nicely to 11 o'clock.
What does that framework look like? Are we talking about like back end of summer? We could see AJ back in the ring if it all goes well. You know, where is it? And do we still get that Tyson Fury fight possibly at the back end of this year?
I think that him fighting in the summer is hopefully what we're working towards. But it's very different him training as he has been and going back into a proper full-on camp. And I think that's what we have to see over the next few weeks, how he gets back into those full camps, those training sessions. The Fury fight is the one everyone wants. We all want it. We're all fans.
2 years, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, if AJ fights in the summer, it's 2 years. Put Jake Paul to one side, all respect, but it's 2 years since a competitive fight. So there's going to have to be some finessing and ensuring that he can get to the levels that require him to be able to fight someone like Fury.
I think the problem we've got obviously with Anthony Joshua, and a massive hurdle he has to overcome is this psychological damage that he's got going in there, and that's bigger than the physical battle. That's bigger than the warm-up fights, etc., etc. And that's where none of us are going to be able to give those answers until AJ sort of.
Well, I think in part that battle has been embraced by Anthony by saying he wanted to fight. I think most people were expecting him not to. I think people saw him in London post the circumstances in December and felt that there was very little chance that Anthony was psychologically and physically wanting to fight again.
Yeah.
That he made that choice himself. So I think he's embraced that battle already.
And he's 100% positive that is the case, Frank. He wants to fight again. He wants to fight this year.
Yeah, look, it's his life. As I say, it's all he's known and it's all he's focused on for the last 17, 18 years since he went to the Olympics and won the gold medal and then became world champion.
Sports update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 11:03, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. That was probably Man City's best performance of the season, according to Martin Keown, who wants to give Pep's press and players some credit, especially Bernardo Silva.
Thought he was magnificent in the game. Arsenal need a player like that going forward. He kicked the ball straight out of play at the start of the game to say, right, okay, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, I saw that.
You're going to have possession, and you're going to have to try and play out.
But Martin
couldn't find a solution.
Mr. Keown insists Arsenal didn't freeze, but Arteta should have made some changes to get out of City's press as Pep's side cruised to a League Cup win. Now, talkSPORT's Emmanuel Petit has a message for Liam Rosenior.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
We're not stupid. We're not kids.
Correct.
So just try to behave, in the right way.
The former Chelsea midfielder says Rosenior's treating the players like children with all these notes he's sending on.
And he show him something. But if you have a quick look on the player behind him, the way they look at the manager tells me a lot, Yeah.
Chelsea's 3-0 defeat at Everton leaves them outside the top 5. Meanwhile, with Spurs one place off the drop, we're told the board are weighing up whether to stick or twist with Igor Tudor. Here's our reporter Ben Jacobs.
The original plan was always that Igor Tudor would stay and Tottenham would hire a permanent manager over the summer. Now the leadership are deciding whether they need to bring in somebody between now and the end of the season.
Tudor's been given space to deal with a family bereavement following the 3-0 home defeat to Forest. And non-league Rushden and Diamonds have sacked 2 players after they had a fight on the pitch. Bruno Andrade and Tyler Winters were both sent off for coming to blows in the defeat to Loughborough students. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Sir Keir Starmer's described an arson attack on 4 Jewish community ambulances in North London as deeply shocking. And a Cobra meeting will look at how to help people deal with the economic fallout from the conflict in Iran. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Store your new tyres this spring at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
In England and Wales, a dry and hazy day with sunshine, cloud and rain moving into Scotland this afternoon, windy in the north, gales developing in northern Scotland.
Good morning, everybody. 6 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT. Arsenal fans phoning in big numbers this morning off the back of that disappointing Carabao Cup final result yesterday, a game that was won by Manchester City. Arsenal fans, don't worry though. Don't worry, because it's not all kind coming your way this morning. Very soon we're going to concentrate on your North London rivals, Tottenham. What on earth is going down there? Are Tottenham Hotspur looking at Championship football next season? We're going to get to that. In the meantime, we're going to stick on this. A great story emerged out of the Carabao Cup final yesterday. The double goal scorer, Nico O'Reilly, boyhood fan, academy product, who lived just 2 miles from the Etihad. It was Nico's day, and he approached the mix zone yesterday. Everybody wanted a word with him, and Nico O'Reilly was asked if he felt that this was something of a statement win over Arsenal.
100%. It's a blow for them, obviously, and we need to build on it and get some momentum from this game now. And as soon as international break's over, we need to kick on and fight hard. We've got a game in hand in the Premier League. We've got to play them at our place, and we're still in the FA Cup. Liverpool, it's a tough tie. We know that. We've got some great leaders, players who have won a lot. They definitely help us young players and through it all, who haven't been in situations like this before in title races and won many trophies. Definitely very important to have them around.
What did it look like to you as far as Arsenal were concerned in terms of their mood, their demeanour on the pitch after you went 2 ahead?
I don't know, I thought they kept going. I thought when we came out in the second half, when we came out with a lot of energy and threat to their goal, the pressing, we was on it, on the ball, we was on it. And they looked like they didn't know what to do, to be honest.
Did you have to pinch yourself, Nico, in walking out of here, having played such a major part in the outcome of a final at Wembley?
Yeah, a little bit. As I said, it's a great feeling, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself or anything like that because there's still a lot to play for, a lot to do. I'll just knuckle down and keep going.
Simon, it's funny, isn't it? For all their riches and recruitment, a local lad pops up, scores 2 goals in 4 minutes, and wins a cup for City. It's quite a story, isn't it, for a local kid?
Well, yeah, I suppose you could say the same thing about Phil Foden, couldn't you? You could say a thing about the fact that the ideal football club produces the opportunity to buy the best players and also develop some of the best players, and you want that blend. You want that ability to do both. And the fact that he's come in and laid claim to an opportunity for himself and scored a couple of goals in a cup final, great, fantastic. Very, very calm and very understated in his interview.
Very measured. Yeah.
Interesting that he made an observation about Arsenal that they didn't seem to know what to do with us, and that's an interesting observation for another player to make about another team. But it'll be interesting to see how Arsenal bounce back. I mean, obviously, wonderful for him. Great opportunity for him to get his name up in lights. The fact he's in the Man City side, his name's up in lights anyway. But for Arsenal to bounce back now, they've got Bournemouth, which is a difficult game. We'll see all these questions and all this assertions about what Arsenal will and won't do will come clear in the next couple of games post the international break. But Man City, to go and win the game and to come off the back of a difficult last week or so where they've gotten smashed out of Europe by Real Madrid and to pick up the opportunity to win the League Cup and land a blow in Arsenal gives them cause to thought. Do I think they'll win the league? No, I still think Arsenal will win the league.
Yeah. Martin, is it a relevant question to ask? All right, O'Reilly's shining at this stage. Well done to him. What has happened to Bukayo Saka? This season, 9 goals, 7 assists across 42 games. 2 goals this calendar year. Last season, 12 goals, 14 assists across 37 games in all competitions. To a degree, has his contribution dried up something?
Yeah, he's not. Obviously, it's a dip in form. I do feel he likes that little triangle with Ødegaard and maybe Ben White. He's not had Ben White alongside him. Timber, I think, has been magnificent. Wasn't available for the game, of course, and a loss for Arsenal. But Ben White tends to get on the overlap, whereas Timber comes inside. When Ødegaard's there, there's an extra player so that they have that relationship, Jim, so he can get on the ball. But we go back to the tactics. Man City just denied Arsenal any opportunity to play out from the back. One thing I will say about Nico O'Reilly was he was on the receiving end against Real Madrid. Valverde was a player that almost took him to the cleaners, right? He took Arsenal to the cleaners yesterday, so he responded brilliantly because you would have thought, okay, a little bit of question mark, but that's what Arsenal need to do as well.
Yeah.
Respond, react, find a solution. Next time you come into this environment, because this is a dress rehearsal, isn't it, for that game at the Etihad?
Yeah.
It's going to be, all guns blazing, and you're going to have to get it right.
Well, what I would say, Martin, I'll just paint a picture briefly. That Nico O'Reilly, he's a youngster. He's standing there, Simon. The game is won. But in that mix zone, as you know it, Martin, there's about 15 different broadcasters, written media, all trying to get a question to him. And as Simon rightly pointed out there, very measured, very, very calm in his reaction. And I think it bodes well for Pep and Tuchel.
Yeah, and I think it's been a difficult journey for him to get into the team, and maybe he's exceeding expectations. And it kind of like almost counts for double for a player like that. And they're proud of him. in the football club,
Yeah.
what he's achieving, scoring those goals in front of his fans, his home club. You know, these are big moments, Jim, and it's sort of sinking in. He's realising now how good he is. And let's hope he has takes that forward into the summer as well for the England team.
Now,
he's only just got into the England squad, but now he looks like a nailed on.
Now that it appears we've got back into your good books somewhat, I may as well rattle your cage again. Is there really an ABA sentiment amongst neutrals? Anyone but Arsenal? Do you honestly feel that? Jimmy Carragher, in his Telegraph column at the weekend, Arsenal have achieved the seemingly impossible ahead of this weekend's Carabao Cup final. So this was before the game was played against City. He says they have inspired neutrals across the country to root for Manchester City. And he goes on to say, laughing at Arsenal's recent near misses has become a source of national entertainment. This mockery has been amplified by the club's own fans, who have been particularly prominent in fan media and a proactive online presence in the digital age. No major club's fan base have been so adept at getting too high after wins and too low after defeats. Even now, closing in on the success they crave, there is hysteria, whatever the outcome. What's your take on
Well, again, I don't know sure why you're giving him credence by allowing his name to be mentioned on our show. I just fail to. We have got enough listeners, enough people. We do a bloody good job. They want to come on here, they can come on here. But why you give credence to that, I don't really know. National entertainment.
It was a big
I
column over the
don't
weekend
see
that
it.
got a lot of
By the way,
reaction,
these
Mark.
don't sound like the Carragher ghost. The ghostwriter needs to do a more. Maybe the dialect needs to be picked up slightly better. It's not really his words, is it? It's quite eloquently written. So maybe that needs to change slightly.
Well, you know about ghost-written columns.
Well, yeah, but I worked really damned hard on that and wrote most of it myself and changed things when it needed to be and had good people around me who sensed my voice.
Okay.
Look, he's just poking fun at Arsenal, isn't he? I don't think it's a national entertainment. There's other things to worry about in the world right now.
Do you believe that this anyone but Arsenal sentiment does exist amongst neutrals?
Well, maybe the rival clubs over the years. I tried to say that when we had Barry on the phone. The Manchester United got an incredible amount of support base. Liverpool the same. Maybe those two clubs have, their rivalries in the past. They feel that, listen, Liverpool, people talk about their fans, and I loved it that they won the league last year, but God, they do get in your ear and it becomes too much. People have that about them, but whether it's a national entertainment, no, I think that's too much.
Do you get that sense that Carragher's referring to, Simon, even now, closing in on the success they crave, there is hysteria, whatever the outcome?
Possibly. I mean, I've sat across the table with Arsenal fan. If he's referring to Arsenal fan TV and people of those nature, I have no time for those people. I think they talk utter nonsense, and I think there's an element of that pervades people's thinking. I think there is, whether he likes it or not, there's a lack of objectivity from people like Martin that creates a reaction in people. People think that people calling in, he doesn't like this, are having a go at Arsenal. They're not. They're having a go at lack of objectivity, because I see the interaction with Danny Murphy. They have a go at Murphy. They don't like what he says, but not to the hostility that gets in this show at sometimes when he's on. So it's not really about Arsenal. I don't really care if Arsenal win the league or not. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm a Crystal Palace fan. My preoccupation is with Crystal Palace. But insofar as being critical about Arsenal and saying that Arsenal aren't this and Arsenal aren't that becomes almost like a personal slight.
Yeah, but hang on. If it's between Arsenal and City, you want Arsenal to win it, do you not? You always favour the London club.
Yeah, yes, but also because I don't want Man City dominating English football. Also because I don't like the fact that Man City can just buy every single player that suits them and they can ultimately create outcomes that other teams can't have.
But Nico O'Reilly won it for them. A kid.
Fantastic, but that's what I said earlier on about the balance inside a football club, which is it's wonderful to have an opportunity to bring young players through. A good football club should be able to have a factory and an engine room that goes behind the front of house purchasing stuff. But I don't know if there is and anybody at Arsenal. I don't know why Jamie would write that, because obviously you're writing columns to entertain people. You're writing columns to provoke debate. You're writing columns to have a thought process that you might have. And whether it's exactly Jamie's words any more than you picked a Tottenham side, an Arsenal side that would have no Tottenham players in it, even though Harry Kane was in it. We can all make observations about other people's articles.
Martin, I'll let you have the last word as we approach this break. Let me ask you a straight question.
This isn't about me.
Do you admit to having a lack of objectivity?
Simon loves to make this about me.
Would you concede you've got a lack of objectivity when it comes to Arsenal?
No, because I started the show by saying congratulations to Man City and what a wonderful plan they put together. But that doesn't suit your narrative of this show. So therefore you come back at me with lots of things. I try to be as impartial as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I don't think it's over for Arsenal this season. To listen to you guys and listen to some of the callers, you think it was. Look, we control over this at the end of the season.
Anyone can
it's a bit too early.
City.
Look, well,
Did you not even get called out by Pep
I've sat
Williams
here.
about your lack
I've
of
sat here copious Mondays with my hand in the air. Can we talk about Arsenal? Can we talk about Arsenal? And we don't, because it's not a talking point until they lose a game.
And we don't.
We don't, I'm afraid, Jim. You miss what you're doing, because, look, I'm just making my point. And we should move on. And why don't we talk about, look, there's lots of things to talk about. We've got Chelsea, we've got Spurs, how well Man City played.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How Bernardo Silva.
You've made your mind up. You either want to talk about Arsenal or you don't. Or what you want to do is you only want to talk about Arsenal the way you want to talk about Arsenal.
Why shouldn't I be allowed to do that? Why should I allow you to put things into my head that I don't want to say?
I dread to think what's in your head. But the point of the matter is that there's a conversation between equals in a room to discuss it, and because the view of Arsenal doesn't suit you, you take it in a different direction. So there's plenty of commentary about Arsenal, good and bad. And this idea, and that's why people
we're restoring. I didn't want to talk about Jamie Carragher, but we were talking about his story that he's brought up outside of this room.
Jamie's creating an observation that there's a general feeling.
You don't think he's right? You don't think he's right? I don't think it's exactly his words, but I think he's the. I can't disagree with completely what he's saying.
I don't think
it's a national entertainment. That's because that's ridicule, and that's.
Let me tell you, we've got to 11:15, and Martin, I can tell you this: had Arsenal won it, we still would have done an hour and a quarter on them this morning.
Okay, pass.
Yeah, we would have done. And he knows it. He knows it. He can't help being an Arsenal invincible. And why should he? It's 11:15.
You know, he's Brazil's all-time goal scorer.
I don't care.
He's got more goals than Pele.
Was Pele all that? Was he all that, Pele? Would Pele get in to Arsenal's team now?
Hold on. What do you mean?
Would Pele get in Arsenal's team now? Would he get ahead of Martinelli?
You don't think Pele's any good?
I never saw it. I mean, all I've seen is
you're not having him better. You don't think he's better than Gyökeres?
I don't know whether Pele was as good as everyone said.
He won 3 World Cups.
I know, but that was back then, wasn't it?
What do you mean?
I know.
You're not having Pele?
No, it's a little bit like someone winning. Let's say back in like the
hat-trick in a World Cup final.
Let's say like in the early 1800s, early 1900s, someone won Wimbledon 25 times. They're not going to be better than Federer or Djokovic.
Right, but Pele can't help the fact that he was born in whenever he was born in the 60s.
At that time, Pele was obviously very good.
Right.
But don't tell me Pele gets an Arsenal's team now.
What do you mean?
The best side in the country. Who's he getting?
He's not getting in front of Gyökeres.
He ain't getting ahead of Saka.
Are you having a laugh?
No, I'm not.
What?
No.
I can't believe you said that.
I've never
heard you come. I've never heard you come out with so much guff.
No, but we don't.
Pele.
But we don't know how good Pele was.
What do you mean?
We are told.
What do you mean?
No, at the time
he won 3 World Cups.
No, I know he did, and I'm not taking.
Good morning, everybody. 22 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. If you're watching on YouTube, then I'm delighted that you are. And you'll see that temperatures are running quite high in here, but that's how we like it on a Monday morning with Arsenal Invincible, Mr. Keown, in our midst. We'll talk Tottenham at 1:30. Tottenham with a few problems on the horizon, to say the least of it. Sunderland, Brighton, Wolves, Villa, Leeds, Chelsea and Everton. Those are the games that they've got ahead of them. Will they stay up or will they go down? Yeah, we really are talking about Tottenham Hotspur. Will they go down? Could cost them, so I'm told, in the region of 300 million plus, Simon, if they do go down. But we'll get to them because we're going to talk first about the team that beat them over the weekend at Spurs' backyard at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it was Nottingham Forest. Simon, how do you see it playing out? The quarter-final of the Europa League and a move out of the bottom three. So could a potentially disastrous season still turn into a spectacular one for Nottingham Forest?
Possibly. I mean, I think the win in the Europa League was a very commendable win, given the fact that they played them earlier on in the season and lost to them. So I think that you got to look at that and say that's a good result, that's a good outcome. It wasn't expected for Forest to go through in that tie. More compellingly for them, beyond all of that, is the fact they've gone to Spurs and beat Spurs at Spurs in a game that most people would have felt that Spurs might have been on the road to recovery. They might have found some degree of momentum going forward after the Liverpool game, after the Atletico Madrid game. And for Forest to have gone there, I thought Forest looked very composed and very assured and started the game very brightly. Spurs were in the game. I thought they were very unlucky to be 1-0 down at half-time. And, some of the defending from Spurs is just appalling. For the first goal, Mickey van der Ven, what he was doing, God only knows. Martin could probably comment on that better. Romero is just a show pony that shouldn't be at this football club anymore.
He's a World Cup winner.
He may well be, but he's not for this football club.
He's not the captain.
Yeah, well, he's the wrong captain. And Spurs are right in amongst it now. So going to Forest's question, Pereira's come in. He did the same job at Wolves, 18 months ago, steadied them, settled them down. They've still got a long way to go. The interesting thing for me is watching the teams around them. I still think, for whatever reason, it might be just blind belief in the Tottenham Hotspur image, that it'll still be the bottom three that's in the bottom three, or possibly Leeds will get dragged into it, because I think Leeds are drawing their way to safety. And yet still this remarkable run of games that Leeds are playing in where they're not getting beat, but they're still only 2 or 3 points away from the relegation zone. And somewhere along the line, something's going to catch up with them, I fear. I hope not. I don't want any of the teams to get relegated. But from Forest's point of view, I thought they did really, really well in that game. And that's a credit to the manager.
Well, they're navigating their way through Europe, aren't they, Martin, Nottingham Forest? Does that give them momentum, or is that a distraction?
Well, it's only one win in 7. Just to keep into context. But I've seen enough from Pereira to think, right, okay, they're going to get out of trouble because the way that they've played, the shots they've been having, obviously it goes from game to game, Jim, just like trying to bring that in. I mean, I looked at the Spurs game. We were all, weren't we, in the stadium? It was difficult to watch the game in any real detail. And then it got to half-time, Van der Ven went off and Spence went off. And I thought, hold on a minute, one of those has just been named in the England squad and the other one's actually outstanding. I know he's had a difficult season, Van der Ven, lately. Yeah. Why are we taking those players off? Didn't really make any sense to me. But look, the structure for the Forest team is much more solid. We're going to hear today whether or not Tudor's still going to be the manager. Obviously, there's some maybe a bereavement which is actually bigger than football, and he may need to deal with that. But there's lots of reasons here. We're speculating. Yeah. I looked at it a number of weeks ago, and I said West Ham would go down, and they've turned things around. But they play Wolves. They play Wolves next. And that's got to be a huge game for them. Yeah. Because it literally goes from game to game, Jim. Because we'll be looking at it and talking about it again on the Monday and saying, well, wow, look at that. It's turned around again. Can Forest respond? Forest, I think, go to Villa next. Not Villa now picking up speed. I know it's only one result for Villa. But nonetheless, they've managed to stay in 4th place, looking favourite for that now. So it's very difficult to call this, Jim. It's going to go to the wire. And they're getting wins down the bottom of the table, which you ordinarily don't get. Normally, you go months without winning, and they're getting Leeds, as you say, keep on picking up points. But I'm not sure that's going to be enough. They need to win a game. They also play Wolves. They play away at Manchester United, Leeds next. But they've got a game against Wolves where you've got to look at and say, and then Burnley as well. Yeah. And Spurs.
It would seem, though, the die has been cast, Simon, for a two-way London fight between West Ham and Spurs. You rightly say Leeds could well draw themselves to safety. Forest look as if they'll give a few problems on the way to survival, in my view. So it's going to come down, it would seem, West Ham or Tottenham.
That's the way it's beginning to look. I mean, ultimately, I've always maintained, for whatever reason, and again, I can't work out what my reasons are, just believing there's enough quality in this squad and believe that Tottenham are a bigger football club. Now, they probably believed the same in 1977 when they got relegated. But they are now right amongst it. And losing the game against Forest, I mean, watching the game, while Spurs never had control of the game and Forest looked quite assured at times, there was no way that I saw Spurs getting beat 3-0. Now, reacting to adversity seems to be their major problem, because going in at half-time in a goal that they should never have conceded, really, they should have defended it far better. And going in at 1-0 at half-time doesn't mean there's a collapse, which there was.
Yeah.
In terms of Spurs' resolve and mentality and ability to overcome adversity and to find their way through. And they've got to find some outcomes there. They've got to be able to find something that's to cling on to.
Right.
Whether that's the manager, the playing mentality. I don't think the manager is going to make a lot of difference at this moment in time. I think it's the players that are going to decide how they get out of this.
Well, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? You do the maths. 4-1 doesn't go. Leeds are on 33 points, Forest on 32, Spurs on 30, West Ham on 29. So we'll put this to you, in a relegation 6-pointer, and that's what it was yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Was it a concerning wave of the white flag from Tottenham? We're going to get into that next. And Tottenham fans, if you want to call, by all means, give us a call. You'll have probably had a sigh of relief that Arsenal didn't win at Wembley, but that apart, you're still banging trouble. Will you get out of it, or will you drop down? 03717 223344.
After two decent results in a row, has Igor Tudor earned his stay of execution at Tottenham until the end of the season? Well, Drive presenter and expert striker Darren Bent certainly thinks so.
The performances before that, I mean, the six before that, oh my God, six straight losses in a row. I thought, what's going to happen here? Like, where's it going to end? And they put in a decent performance against Liverpool. And as you said, they beat Atletico in the second leg. And they have got confidence now because that's 2 unbeaten now in all competitions, 2 unbeaten. The game on Sunday's the one. It's so big. But clearly now that Igor Tudor is going to be here for the foreseeable now. That he's here to the end of the season.
Yeah.
I can't see them making a change now this season because you've seen...
If they were to lose Forest, lose away at Sunderland, he'd still be there.
Potentially, yeah. I think so.
Very interesting. Spurs Nottingham Forest on Sunday is absolutely gigantic. So would you agree with Darren Bent there? Have we seen enough that's been good from Igor Tudor?
That was a brilliant point away at Liverpool. And the game in midweek, which I watched, I thought there was a lot more spirit, a lot more, really wanting it more for if you're a Tottenham player. So they've got to take that now into this game on Sunday against Forest. Look, Forest will know they're coming off that win as well. They'll be really happy with how they got the result away from home. They'll probably sit back Forest and try and hit them on the break, but they've got good players as well. Gibbs White, Adore. Jesus up front, Anderson in midfield. So they've got a decent squad of players itself. So it's going to be an interesting game. But I think the first goal is, I know it's an old cliche. First goal is going to be really important in that game. If Forest can somehow nick it, then you can see the fans really getting a little bit frustrated. But one thing about the fans the other night, they really, really got behind the team.
Arsenal struggling with the psychological burden of getting this season over the line. Former midfielder Emmanuel Petit has told talkSPORT after Man City's second, only Declan Rice seemed to react.
Try to say to his teammates, come on guys, it's not over, we have to do something in this game. And but I had the feeling from the stadium where I was seated that the game was already over.
Manu Petit also criticised Mikel Arteta for sticking with Kepa, whose error led to City's first.
Feelings for me are not concern, but you have to make choices, for the best of the club and the best of the team and the fans.
After City's Carabao Cup win, Pep Guardiola said he didn't mean to disrespect anyone with his wild Wembley celebrations. Elsewhere today, a man from Oldham's been charged with entering a stadium without a ticket at Wembley, the first of its kind under a new law. He's in court in May. If found guilty, he faces a 5-year banning order and a fine of up to £1,000. Now, as we head into the international break, it's thought Dan Ballard will miss Northern Ireland's World Cup playoff with Italy this week. He's got a hamstring injury, while Eberechi Eze is ruled out of this England camp and Harvey Barnes is set to replace him. Don't forget, England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT this Friday night. And Atleti's Antoine Griezmann is set to sign for Orlando City in MLS this summer as a free agent. There's more at talksport.com.
So many of you calling in, so many of you getting in touch saying how much you're enjoying the show, and I'm delighted about that. Dermot, good friend of mine down in your neck of the woods, Marbella. Dermot, good to hear from you. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Bit of breaking news just into us here at talkSPORT. Harvey Barnes, we know, is in Thomas Tuchel's England squad. In the last few moments, also called up, Arsenal's Ben White has been called back into the England squad, and he is included in this squad by Thomas Tuchel. Ben White's last involvement with England, as we know, was back at the World Cup in 2022. And on that occasion, Martin, Simon, you'll recall, he left camp early after a reported fallout between him and whoever else. But Ben White gets his chance. Featured yesterday, of course, at Wembley, and he's been called up by Thomas Tuchel. Guys, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it was interesting when Harvey Barnes was almost going to commit to play for Scotland. I believe, Jim, you'll know more about that. Ben White fell out, I believe, with Steve Holland. Well-known argument that they had where I think he was being accused of not taking enough interest when he wasn't in the team. So, he's a good player. So I expect to see him when there's a problem. It's good to see that he's back involved again.
Yeah. Some people had the view at the time, Simon, if you turn your back on your country, that should be it for you.
I think I was in that camp. I think I was in the camp of we can't all be told what we want to hear. We have to sometimes accept people have different views, and you have to, when you're playing for your country, it's an honour, it's a privilege. It's one of those rare things. Martin can speak to it because he played for his country. And to walk away because something doesn't suit you, because you've had the confrontation or an altercation. I mean, obviously we don't know the length and breadth of it, but at the time I think my attitude towards it was, well, I think that should be you done. Now, Thomas Tuchel's in the business of winning for England. If he believes that Ben White is exhibiting the kind of quality and capability that he requires in his team. I mean, we've heard Ben White talk about the fact that he doesn't particularly love football, doesn't particularly spend a lot of time spending any interest about what happens when he's not playing. And some would say that's fair enough. Like lots of jobs, people don't love being a bank clerk, do they? Just because you're a footballer doesn't mean you've got to love the job that you do. Most people associate it with love because they dream of being a footballer in their own lives.
Yeah.
And they live vicariously through the football club.
Should the door be reopened to you, Martin? I mean, I'm looking at the messages coming in now. Dan from Cheltenham. Ben White shouldn't be back in the England squad. Traitor.
Well, it's a debate, but I mean, look, this is a personality clash. He did not want to play for his country. He didn't want to play for the people who happen to be in charge of it. Now, it seems unusual because Steve Holland is a really mild-mannered individual. It'd be difficult to fall out with him. So I'm not sure what happened there. But when it happens, maybe there's no way back. And Southgate had to support him. So, but I'm just going to judge the player on what I see in his performances. You could say he's lucky to get back in there because Alexander-Arnold's been playing quite regularly now. I don't think he started yesterday.
You think he is lucky to get back in there?
Well, he's only played a couple of games.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold's still sitting in Madrid, wondering if he's ever going to get back in?
He's probably played 2 games in the last 4 weeks. So, but he's caught the eye. And Thomas Tuchel will give people that opportunity. Alexander-Arnold seems, for some reason, to be somebody he doesn't...
To Simon's point, Martin, you wore the international jersey with pride. For whatever reason, he left the camp early 4 years ago. Should he be back in?
I'm not going to say he shouldn't be allowed in because he's had a personality clash. Simple as that. He's fallen out with the current management at the time. The new manager, Thomas Tuchel, has been very persuasive. I quite like him. He says it as it is, and he's given him another chance, and he's taken it. If he's not completely turned his back,
you wouldn't have left an England camp.
Well, I don't know what was said.
Could Ben White not have had a personality clash with Steve Holland if it was Steve Holland, but stay in the squad?
Well, maybe he felt embarrassed. Maybe he felt insulted. Maybe he was on the edge of it and thought he wasn't going to play anyway. I found myself in that situation in the last World Cup I was in, but I was there as a senior player. I was 36 years of age, proud to be there. But you found yourself not playing in the games. But I was certainly made to feel inclusive by Sven. God rest his soul. This is a clash of personality, Jim, and that's what it was. And now he should be given a chance to play for his country again.
It's interesting, Simon. There's a message from Lloyd. He shouldn't be back in. He rejected the honour. The door should be closed.
Well, again, it's one of those where you're finding yourself being a talking head because you don't know the length and breadth of it, and you would like to think that if you're playing for your country, if part of it is, and I think part of it was, if my recollection serves me correctly, it was about being a peripheral player. And that he couldn't even find his way through whatever objections he had to whichever person he had an objection with because he was a peripheral player. Well, he's a peripheral player because of A, perhaps his own capabilities, and B, being part of a squad. And once you're called up for your country, you have to accept the ramifications of being a part of a squad, and you might have to find your way through any personality issues you have.
I think 4 years ago, I think you said at the time he shouldn't play for England again.
I think that's still probably my view. He's one of those, and if you look at the optics of it, he looks like he's one of those sort of players that spends more time on a sunbed than he does about playing football. And it's about what he looks like rather than what he does. I've never been for him as a player. I think he's okay. And I didn't like the attitude of leaving the England camp because I think there's no greater honour than being picked for your country. Get over it. You're the player. Find a way to potentially find a solution.
I think it boils down to he thought his professional integrity was being questioned because I think it was to do with, when you're on the bench, you need to pay attention to substitutions, you coming on, where are you for set pieces, are you near post, far post, all the signals. And it was more of that area. They were given videos to watch and they had evidence that people weren't watching them. So it's more to do with that. But some players don't like to get full...
But that's not questioning someone's integrity. That's asking them to take responsibility.
Well, it's their professionalism.
Well, then they're showing a lack of professionalism. If your instruction...
Well, maybe that doesn't work for that player, does it?
Maybe the player should do as he's told, and maybe players should spend a little bit more time doing as they're asked and doing as they're told, rather than doing as they want. If you're picked for your country, and the elite coaches that you were a big Southgate fan, so the elite coaches that they were working with have asked you to do something, which part of asking you to do something do you think is a choice? You're playing for your country. If you're being asked to do something, it's for a good reason. And I suspect that the coaches expected players to pay attention to the requirements that they have of them.
Well, Southgate took the side of Steve Holland.
I don't know what. I mean, didn't the player just decide that he was going after? I mean, what did he expect to have happen here?
They couldn't find a solution, so he left. He went.
And I think with that goes the opportunity to play for your country. I think you give that.
I just wonder what. So England have got these 2 games coming up against Uruguay and Japan. If he's on it live in talkSPORT, actually, if he gets on the ball at some stage, one wonders what the reaction will be. Now we talk about people booing their own players, Simon, and by and large we don't like it. But there's one there, no doubt about it. If he plays Ben White and is on the ball, I for one will be booing. So, I mean, they've already decided, Martin, that at no time should you ever turn your back on your country.
Well, that's up to the individual, isn't it, Jim? But if it's down to relationships...
Is that fickle?
We don't always get on with the people we work with, do we?
You have to find a way through it, don't you?
Let's be fair.
Never turn your back on this show.
Never turn my back on
Much
the
to
show.
your credit.
No.
But today might be different.
I've never walked.
And today might be different. Do you think England fans, look, give him a chance?
If we need him, he's a quality player. Let's bring him back and just say, okay, well, look, it wouldn't have been something I'd have done. I'd have tried to, whatever I could, I'd have stayed there. We saw Roy Keane. Roy Keane hot-footed it and left the Irish team without him. He had his reasons for doing so, but that was a relationship issue. People do it.
And that was condemned as well. And it should be condemned because when you're picked, it's not about you. When you get picked for your country, I would imagine, it's not about you. Besides the individual honour and the pride that you will feel and the fact that it reflects upon your family and everyone in your family will be delighted for you, when you turn up, it's not about, it's like the John F. Kennedy. Don't ask what you can do for what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. It's that mentality. You forsake all of that crap in the background of how important you are and how much your bum needs to be wiped by everybody around you. You play for your country.
Maybe
Ben White didn't
maybe
want
he
to do
regrets that. Maybe he regrets doing it, and I'm certain it's going to be one of the first questions he gets asked as soon as he arrives at a press conference.
I mean, ultimately, it'll be interesting to hear what
Jim's got anything to do with it.
Well, let's put it out there. I mean, are there fans out there who say, look, if Tuchel sees something in Ben White that he thinks he can add to the squad, then he's quite right to call him up, as he has done this morning. But remember, this was Ben White who reportedly turned his back on England 4 years ago and hasn't been back since. So should the door be reopened or should the door stay slammed shut? 03717 22 33 44 81089.
Kids, for them last night, horror show. The Wi-Fi didn't work.
Oh my goodness!
I got in.
Panic stations.
As I walked through the door, my eldest, not hello daddy, my eldest, Wi-Fi's down, and I went, "Can I get through the door first?" Okay, yeah. Little one comes down, not little anymore, but come on, no Wi-Fi. And I went, "Can I walk in?" Right. Let's get in. I have to eat. If you fix the Wi-Fi, by the way, I get a text.
Yeah.
A text from my 14-year-old who's upstairs, can't bother to come down. A text, I'm downstairs. Is the Wi-Fi working? So I text back, can you come down if you want to talk to me?
Yeah.
Comes down. Oh, is it? Because I can't get... No, it's not. It's not us. It's Virgin. It will be fixed. Just wait.
Yeah.
This morning, first thing, no Wi-Fi, still not ready.
So what did you watch last night on TV?
That's a very good question. We had stuff on the planner. Already saved.
Yeah.
You've got Sky Glass, right?
So if Wi-Fi goes down,
you're in a world of trouble. I've got stuff saved on my planner. I tell you what, I was watching the football, but Mrs. G was watching the end of... I gave up on that. What's that programme called with the woman from Yellowstone?
Oh, the Salt Marsh.
Yeah, I gave up. Episode 3, nothing was happening slowly. I thought, no, not for me.
It's slow, man.
Yeah.
And even I watched all the episodes, and even at the end, I'm a bit like, what have I just watched?
Yeah, I gave up. She was watching it.
Football was good, though. But no, do you know what? I bet that was quite nice, though. No Wi-Fi.
Well, it was up until every 4 minutes. I'd like, still not working.
Just relax. Listen, you should have hit him with the. You know, you should hit him with the. When we was younger, there's no such thing as Wi-Fi.
I know. I'm gonna have to use my data up. Oh my god.
Carabao Cup, but they're looking very, very good to win the Premier League title. Could it be the season they do that and you lot go down to the Championship? That is now a very real and present danger. For the moment, we're dwelling on this. Out of the England squad, Eze and Kwanzaa. In come Harvey Barnes, and it was a polite no thanks to Scotland. Harvey, how I'll ever go over that, I'll never know. And Ben White. Ben White has been called up by Thomas Tuchel. Arsenal's Ben White, the last time he was in an England squad, he left it, and he left it early. That was back in 2022 after a reported fallout. 4 years on, he's got his chance to go back in, and he's going to go back in. But the question that we're putting out there this morning is that once you've been in and you've left a squad because of your own reasons for doing so, and had no further involvement in it because of your own reasons for having no further involvement, should he be back in the squad? There is Barry up in Glasgow. Ben White can get in the bin as far as I'm concerned. I wonder how Kieran Dewsbury Hall feels about that. I'm not entirely sure about that. And then Kurt, Martin knows exactly what it's like, Martin, this is you, to represent your country. It is surely the greatest honour. But once you've turned your back in it because it suits you, you surely cannot be allowed to go back in. And then, Kurt, you're putting me in a fair amount of physical danger with this one. Jim, I'm sure that Ben White, if he wasn't an Arsenal player, then Martin would agree. Martin, where do you stand on this?
We're not privy to the discussion. The player might not have made the decision to go. It might well have been he was told to go. I don't know the facts.
Yeah. Oh, back in 2022.
Yeah. So, let's just see. Because he's going to be asked that question, Jim, isn't he? I mean, if you're in charge of that press conference, you're going to ask him that question.
He'll be asked that question. If I remember rightly, the wording was along the lines of he doesn't wish to be involved, Simon. That was our reading of the situation at the time.
Yeah, I mean, when he left, leaving midway through a camp, ultimately you're over there, you've got your squad, you've been selected for a squad, the squad is what it is. I don't think you can call somebody up if someone decides to leave, can you? And so you've got your squad selected. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But they cited personal reasons, and then I'm reading what Gareth Southgate said, which was he made, played it down. And then he asked not to be selected again, didn't he? In 24, he asked not to be selected again.
Right.
So not only did he leave the camp, he decided that he wasn't going to make himself available. So obviously there's a personality issue between whoever was in amongst the coaching staff.
Yeah.
But surely the objective of playing for your country supersedes your own personal feelings. I mean, I don't suppose he made some dreadful comments about his wife. I mean, it had to be something to do with football and get past it and find a way through it. The privilege of playing for your country. But Tuchel's not worried about that. And to some extent, it's refreshing that Tuchel's not going to play into the narrative of what he thinks public opinion will suggest he should do. He's in the business of trying to win a World Cup, and if he feels that Ben White is going to add to the squad to achieve that, he doesn't really care. And to some extent, that's what management should be really about, irrespective of what we think or what anyone else thinks.
So he said no previously to England, but now he's saying yes to Thomas Tuchel. George, you're a Newcastle fan, no doubt an England fan. What do you think about it? Ben White is back.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. The thing for me about the Ben White issue is obviously none of us really know what has gone on in that World Cup when he decided to pack his bags and clear off. We can only assume it was something major. But in the 4 years since then, Ben White has never, to my knowledge, properly set the record straight with a full statement as to say what went on that justified him or persuaded him to leave the World Cup. One must think it would be big, but don't the England fans who went out to Qatar, and there was thousands of them at great expense and time, don't they have the right to know why you left, Ben? They've come out there to support the England squad and by extension to support you, and you've just left without giving them a proper reason.
George, do you think that's something you should address now?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'd be fascinated to hear what Martin says about it, because, Martin, you've been in World Cup squads yourself. I'm sure you've witnessed management and players have disagreements about various things, and to the best of my knowledge, none of those players have ever cleared off. So we just don't know, but surely it's incumbent on Ben White to say what it was.
You want an explanation, George?
To clear off.
Is George right, Martin?
Well, what my opinion on it is, like, for me to leave the base, it'd have to be something really very serious. Maybe this was about, Gareth asked him to apologise to the assistant manager, because if you talk to somebody in that manner, you're effectively talking to me in that way. That's often the rule. I'm not prepared to do that. And the manager may have said, well, okay, if you're not, then you'll have to walk. And he's thought about it. I mean, most people would just apologise and get on with it, because we all get a bit tetchy when we're away. Sometimes, but if he thought this professionalism was being questioned, and it got out, didn't it? Eventually it got out.
Of course.
But George is right. I would like the player to now draw a line under it, give us some of the story, but we're being respectful to the past regime has gone now. So it's obviously to do with the relationship. It wasn't never about England. But you think you put England ahead of everything, don't you? Whatever the argument, we'll put that ahead and we'll just put up with it and I'll get on with it. Like, probably a bit like myself on this show. I enjoy working on talkSPORT radio and I just put it to one side if there's any issues while we're on air. Yeah. Because we're professionals, we're working together.
That's good of Martin,
we have to
isn't
get
it,
on with
George?
it.
I think so. He's playing the bigger person there. I think as much as Simon might wind him up, it's you've got to just put it behind you and get on with it, haven't you, for the greater good
George,
of the product.
good call. Thank you very much indeed. Adam's a big Man United fan. Adam, what do you think about Ben White? Should he be welcomed back into the fold?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me on, by the way. But no, I don't think so. If we're going based off what Martin has said, based on the fact that his professionalism has been brought into account, and maybe that's part of the reason, he wasn't doing his homework and wasn't doing the bits and bobs that go along with being a professional footballer, and he's, by the sounds of it, spat his dummy out about it, then would Simon take somebody in a role, then not perform the role to the ability that they wanted them to, and then open them back with open arms after they've done a runner and left? I don't think he would.
Would you, Simon?
Probably not, but you have to put context into the situation. I'm a firm believer in a redemptive society anyway, so I can't sit here and just say there's a part of me that's being jingoistic in my sentiment because it irritates me that, the general perception is that they've had a fallout about the fact that he doesn't want to watch additional football to be able to conform with the requests of the coach. Now, that to me feels like do as you're told. And if you're being pulled on upon it, it's because you're not doing something and you should find your way through it. And leaving a camp midway through and then saying you're not making yourself available for selection, in part, goes to the point of the uniqueness of being called up for your country. And I think possibly, even though I'm being slightly jingoistic about it, it excludes you going forward, because if people show you what they are, believe them.
Yeah.
And he's shown you what he is.
Yeah.
When I don't like something, not for me, thanks. Rather than, I'll get on with it.
All right.
And that's how you change people's views on you. That's how you adjust in circumstances, because it's not about falling out with people. It's about what you do when you've fallen out.
I imagine Thomas Tuchel though is privy to what that argument was. And he wants to win the World Cup. And if the player's available, and I feel this is a personality clash, do you know what? I'm going to bring him into the squad.
You could say that Ben White showed a bit of backbone back then and said, "No, I'm not having this."
Yeah, but it's for the collective, and you have to, as I say, it can get emotional.
Yeah.
But I'm not privy to the actual conversation. Well, I hope one day that we can actually hear what happened between them.
Yes, indeed. Well, Dan, Leeds fan Dan, I think we do need to hear from Ben White as to what happened all these years ago. Do you agree?
Good afternoon, guys. Good shows as always.
Thank you, Dan.
Going back to last time, when he turned it down, I think it would take a lot for a player to turn his country down. Now, my opinion on this is everybody deserves a second chance. And it never came out the reason why he didn't want to be called up.
Yeah.
Maybe it was family reasons or something like that. But look at, for instance, Brendan Aronson for Leeds. He went to another club and came back, and it took the supporters quite a while to get them back in his good books, but I think he deserves another chance, and he looked quite good yesterday, so why not? Why not give the lad a chance?
Good point, Dan. I think so. At the end of the day, what happened. 4 years on, I do think Simon needs to say something about it when he first speaks.
Well, my experience of people that don't say things, and this is going to be generalised, and don't come and correct things, is because they really haven't got the ability to do it. Because what they're being accused of, in part, is probably what happened, which is their inability to overcome something they didn't like. And most people will say, well, that's a wonderful explanation. Steve Holland had a go at you because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and he called you out in front of other people and you've taken offence at it. And that's the reality of it. Because if you are unequivocal in your position and people are questioning you, questioning your professionalism, questioning your integrity, your decency, the fact you represented a country, you've let your country down.
Yeah.
Most people, and I can't speak for, I don't know the fella, most people would say, well, I'm not having that, I'm going to correct the record. And most of the time when people don't correct the record, when you don't see people go and sue the league because they've been accused of something like betting and they didn't get done for it and their career was ruined, but they don't go and sue the league afterwards, it's because there was something in it that actually isn't quite what they want to advance into the public domain.
Yeah.
So I would think, my view about people is, you judge people in adversity. You don't judge people. If the only time you can get on with somebody is when they're getting what they wanted, That's not much of a relationship, is it?
Thomas Tuchel just wants to judge the player and he wants to judge the person. So he's taking an opportunity to bring him in before a World Cup squad. Nothing gained, nothing lost.
Yeah.
How is he in the group? I can see the player. He's had a fallout, no problem. If we all go to a World Cup with him, there won't be anyone booing him. That's for certain. Everyone will be right behind him.
Is the only people you can work with the people that you like then? And the people that you get on with, because there'll be plenty of players that have played for their country over the last couple of years when Ben White has decided that he's too busy.
And the relationships, like, are you a good egg in the group? You know, do you make people laugh?
Yeah.
Do you train hard? You know, how are you? Do you pee everybody off every day, every time? Just
Would you go home
by
in the
looking
middle
at
of a tournament?
Yeah. Anyway, we're focusing on the wrong guy. Harvey Barnes. What has he done apart from commit the biggest blunder of his career, saying no to Scotland and yes to your lot? I mean, what? Harvey, have a think, mate. Shake your head a bit. When we come back the other side of 12 noon, we will be talking about Tottenham Hotspur. Are they destined for the Championship? After yesterday, you begin to wonder.
And 35 players have been named. Jason Steele has got his first call-up as part of a 5 goalkeeping battalion that also includes James Trafford, Aaron Ramsdale, Jordan Pickford and Dean Henderson. The defenders that have been included, with a bit of surprise maybe for Kayo Tomori. John Stones has been included. Jarrell Quansah is back in the squad. Harry Maguire has got a recall as well. The other defenders, Byrne, Gahey, Hall, Konsa, Livramento, O'Reilly and Jed Spence of Tottenham Hotspur. The midfielders that have been called into the squad include James Garner, who gets a call-up for the first time to the England senior squad, Anderson, Bellingham, Henderson, Mainu, who's back in after some good performances under Michael Carrick. We'll see him tonight live on talkSPORT when we bring you Bournemouth against Manchester United. Declan Rice, Morgan Rogers and Adam Wharton. And then the forwards, and there's quite a lot, but there is no room for Ollie Watkins, Bowen, Calvert-Lewin, Eze, Foden, Gordon, Kane, Madueke, Palmer, Rashford, Saka and Solanke. No Watkins in the squad. No Trent Alexander-Arnold in the squad. And actually, Gabby Agbonlaho's last statement before we went to the break was, do we think we're that good that we can afford to not have a Real Madrid right back in a 35-man squad?
Incredible.
I was looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold and his statistics. He's started 7 of the last 8. He's played 3 90 minutes since his return from injury. You were impressed with him, were you, in the game against Manchester City?
I was, both legs. Yes, he had a lot of help from Valverde and other players on that side, but when he was 1v1 with Doku, he done very well. It just baffles me. I get it. Trent is not the best of defenders. I get it.
Powered by the Nissan van range, scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Harvey Barnes and Ben White have been added to the England squad. That's following injuries to Eberechi Eze and Jarrell Quansah.
Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon this Monday lunchtime. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Arsenal invincible Martin Keown off the back of that Carabao Cup win, not for Arsenal, for Martin's beloved Arsenal, but for Manchester City. But Arsenal still lead the way in the Premier League, of course. At the moment, we take a pause in who's going to win the Premier League, because at this time we focus on an international break. And coming up this Friday, live in talkSPORT, England against Uruguay, of course, in the build-up to the Summer World Cup. And the big news this lunchtime is that Arsenal's Ben White is back in the England squad. Thomas Tuchel has called up the said Mr. Ben White alongside Harvey Barnes. Out are Eze and Kwanzaa. But for White, of course, it's the first call-up since 2022, when he reportedly left the squad after a fallout. That is the big breaking news on the England camp this Monday lunchtime. But Simon, Martin, we turn our attention to Tottenham Hotspur. And of course, yesterday it was billed as a very, very big game in the Premier League for a whole bunch of reasons, not least because of where both clubs are at this time. Forest, right down there, fighting for their very Premier League existence, up against Tottenham Hotspur at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, fighting for their Premier League existence as well. And it was Nottingham Forest who came out on top by 3-0. Spurs played 31, won 7, drawn 9, lost 15. Now, we're going to get to where they're at and how they may or may not get out of that position in a second. But Simon, Igor Tudor in interim charge, a family bereavement as we understand it, and Igor Tudor has left London and is headed back out to his native Croatia. So our condolences from everybody here at talkSPORT go out to Igor at this time. But Simon, does it now leave an awkward, cold heart commercial reality for Spurs, if you like, and one they need to navigate?
Well, they're not playing again until the 12th of April, are they? So they're not under time pressure in terms of instantaneous decision making about Tudor. Whether they've made this decision, whether they decided if they got beat by Nottingham Forest, they had a candidate in mind to take over. I made the observation earlier on about, I don't think the manager in this instance is going to be that important. It's not because I'm being glib about how important managers are. I think the players will decide if they're going to get out of this mess or not. Yes, they could take some inspiration. Yes, they could take some guidance. The argument for Harry Redknapp was about galvanising the fan base and getting the fans behind the side rather than being offside. Well, the fans were behind the team last night. The fans were supportive of their players and the team to try and achieve an outcome. There's a part of me that thinks there's a group of players that have got to get themselves together. There's enough quality on that field, enough talent, but there isn't enough substance. And I look at players in there, and I look at the players that talk in press conferences that turn around and say they care about the club, and they don't like their integrity being questioned in terms of they'll be off out the door. And I think they're the very players that are performing on the field. I think Romero's a cheat. I do. I think he's a top quality footballer that plays when he feels like it. I think he thinks he's bigger than Tottenham Hotspur, and I think it's all beneath him.
You think it's a cheat?
I do. I think there's an element, but when people hate that expression because they think it takes it to this ultimate extreme. I think if you don't give your very best in every occasion you're representing the football club for the salary you're getting and the expectations of the fans and the people that you're employed by, that is by definition cheating. It is conning a living, and I think there's an element, a few of them out there that are doing that. But as far as a manager's concerned, if they feel they've got an opportunity, I don't think they know what they're doing, Spurs. I don't think that their board and their group of football nous is making decisions based upon a deep-seated understanding of what Tottenham require to get out of this problem.
I mean, at the moment then, I mean, obviously they'll liaise with Igor Tudor as the days go along. But you don't think at this time they should be even contemplating rolling the dice again in this?
But depends who they're going to roll it with. I mean, listen. I mean, look. Was he responsible for a very commendable victory against Atletico Madrid and a decent performance against Liverpool? Do you look at Tottenham yesterday and think that there was nothing about that team? The moment adversity comes, that team wilts, and it will continue to be that way, whoever they put in place, until they decide themselves on the field that they're going to do something a little bit better.
Do you agree with Simon, Martin? The moment we're going to go to the calls in a moment. Jason, I'm coming your way. But moment they face adversity, the team wilts.
Well, look, you can't argue with the results and the way that they're playing. But like, if you look at, so Daniel Levy was allowed to leave the football club.
He was
sacked. Well, he was sacked. He was allowed to leave. Got rid of. Personally, I think that's looking quite poor now. He should have probably just done it at the end of the season. Thomas Frank was left. Thomas Frank was left isolated. Thomas Frank should have been allowed to stay in position to the end of the season. Then it should be reflected upon, and then okay, if it's not the right move, we'll change it. This guy's come in. He looks completely out of his depth. I think it's 1 point, Jim. 1 point in 15 matches. Yeah, that's just
15 points. Yeah.
Yeah,
1 point out of 15.
out of 15 matches. Yeah, 15 points available. 4 losses in the last 5. I just see nothing in their performances that indicates to me that he's the man for the job. Now, it's a difficult moment for them. I believe there's a bereavement in the family, close family. But I expect him now to be changed by somebody else. That there'll be a new guy coming in here. Now,
you think they'll make a change now?
I think they will. I think they have to. It tells me at half time the changes that he was making, unless they were enforced. I wasn't watching the game in great detail, a bit like Simon with the Carling Cup. But they've made those changes.
Carabao Cup detail,
yeah, in the League Cup. But they've made those changes for a reason. Now, for me, they're sort of players I want in the team. One's both international players. So for me, they have to be majorly handicapped to take them off. He's not the man for the job. They need to make that change. Who on earth is going to do it? I don't know at this stage.
Well, as we understand it, it's a personal bereavement, a family bereavement, and our condolences go out to Igor Tudor, as I emphasise at this time. But is it the wish of the Tottenham Hotspur fans at this stage that the hierarchy should seize the moment and make a change and say to Igor, thank you for what you've done, but we're bringing X or Y in? Jason's a big Tottenham fan. Jason, you've been waiting. Good afternoon, mate. What do you want to say?
It's one of those conversations where I could start at so many different points that I'm not entirely sure where to start.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue is that when we talk about change, the people that are going to be responsible for making the change, I do not believe are capable of making the correct decision. I think they're absolutely clueless by virtue of the fact that they got rid of Daniel Levy, who, whatever way we want to look at it, has made something incredible at Tottenham, and they just literally got rid of him and didn't tell the fans why he's gone. I go back to when Alan Sugar used to run this club, and you had somebody there that would phone up somebody like Gary Mabbott and say to Gary, what's the feeling in the dressing room at the moment? How are the other players feeling towards this manager? And Alan could speak to someone like Gary Mabbott, who was a senior captain of the club, and get an understanding. I don't believe there's anybody currently at Tottenham Hotspur in that boardroom that has got that capability, that really understands football.
Well, Jason, let's bring Simon back in on that, because that was your point. Jason's getting down to specifics, citing in his time Alan Sugar maybe getting in touch with Gary Mabbott. You say the people at the top at Tottenham don't have a clue what they're doing.
I don't think they do. I don't think the football knowledge, whether it's people like Jonathan Turner or whether it's Vinay himself, if you listen to some of the nonsense that they're trotting out, it is drivel, utter drivel. You talk about the financial obligations, about how they're being caught up by PSR and all that sort of nonsense. This is about banking debts, and they've got the same challenges that Daniel had. But the issues around football now is to make decisions. I'm not in the camp. I never have wanted to be in the camp where I'd phone a senior player up to ask him what the mood in the dressing room is, because in part, they're the reasons why I'm in the cart. And so I'm really not interested too much in their opinion. I want to see what the solutions are, and I don't tend to find it in the mouths of players. I tend to find it in the mouths of managers that are going to be able to get from these players what's required of them. Now, I made changes at times and affected outcomes at very big business end of seasons. I remember doing it with 2 games to go, and we were almost relegated, and put Steve Kember in place. We won the last 2 games and stayed up with the last kick of the season. So I accept the fact that things can change. I think the challenge for Spurs is that they've got a group of players now that are in a certain mindset, and I don't think whichever voice you put in there is going to make a lot of difference. But notwithstanding that, I don't think Tudor is the answer. I never thought he was the answer in the first place. Okay. I felt they should have stayed with Thomas Frank. I said 3 months ago that Thomas Frank will lose his job because he will be alienated. He will be on his own, and he was. And quite frankly, the group of people that are running Tottenham Hotspur are now getting precisely what they deserve.
Yeah, but were the owners overzealous in getting rid of Daniel Levy? The timing of that. Were the right people necessarily in position? Because Daniel Levy called all the shots. It seemed from the outside. Why didn't they just leave him in place to the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're right at the top, you tend to be right in the team. I also think it gives people an excuse, because really and truly, the chairman is not kicking the ball on the field. That squad is good enough to do far better. Is it if you judge by what's happened in the past, people will say that Levy is responsible for this assembly of a squad, and ultimately all the chickens have come home to roost. That's fine if you want to make that argument, if you wanted Tottenham to be a top 6 side. If Tottenham, that squad is a top 10 squad, the fact they're sitting 4th and bottom in the league is a disgrace upon the players and the management of the players.
Do you agree with Simon and Dan? Dan's another Spurs fan waiting very patiently just before we head to the break. Dan, good afternoon. Where are you in this?
Morning. I went yesterday. This is the first time I've walked out in 30 years.
You walked out, right?
Yeah. I just can't watch it anymore. It's toxic. You've got it's the players. I don't see the point in changing another manager. I think you've got players like Romero, Van der Ven. They don't want to be there. They're getting sent off. I hate to say it on purpose. But when you need a captain, you need your players around you. The spine of the team is weak. You've got Conor Gallagher's on 200 grand a week. He didn't play their week. He had a fever. I'm sorry, but I've got to work. Are they going to go down? They will. I don't think it'll be the worst thing, because I think they need a reality check. The whole structure of the club. You won a European trophy last year. You sack the manager, and then you bring in Thomas Frank, who is a good manager. You sack him, and you bring in a guy who, no disrespect to him, I'm sure Igor Tudor is a good coach, but never managed in the Premier League. You've given him a load of players you don't care, don't want to be there. If it was me, I wouldn't play Romero Van der Ven to the end of the season. I'd make Archie Gray captain and just see what happens.
Dan, many points here to dwell upon. Tottenham fans telling us that it is pretty dire at the moment, and so dire you could end up in the Championship. Stay with us, a lot more coming your way after this.
Is Eze England's best option now at number 10?
Oh, no. I think you've got so many options. I mean, I would say nay at the moment, yeah.
For who?
Well, you're looking at, there's so many players can play in there, aren't there? Well, Andy Sanders has just said Rodgers should be better on the left, but he can also play on number 10. You've got Bellingham, who, look, whatever season he's had, he does turn up for the big games. He can play in big games. Would he be in front of Eze? Look, Eze scored a cracking goal the other night. There's no doubt in that. And he's banged one in the FA Cup the other day. He's starting to score a few more goals, which is very important. But I'll still I don't think he'll be in that starting number 10.
No, Bellingham for me. You can't ignore Bellingham's talent, and people who do really need to take a look at themselves.
But Eze's putting pressure. He's putting pressure on himself. Don't get me wrong. He's putting pressure on.
Jude Bellingham doesn't get the credit he deserves for the career he's had already.
He's a young lad.
Because he rates himself, people hate him.
Yeah,
yeah, but you can be confident in your own ability.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be overconfident. But you still got to be confident. You ain't going to be a player if you're not confident going forward.
Do you remember when you'd interview with Thomas Tuchel when he was like, my mother finds him repulsive? I was like,
I don't.
Did you come back from that?
He's not scared to leave one out, Tuchel, though. He ain't going to just pick you for the sake of it. That's what I like about the manager. Because sometimes you can pick people because their reputation and this, that, and that, whatever, but he won't do that. Tuchel will go, right, whoever deserves to play will play.
Yeah.
Is Saka guaranteed to start, Yerney?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I think he would definitely start on that right-hand side, yes.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. GambleAware.org.
And it's that time. Matt Gibson from BetMGM joins us. We'll have a look at events over the weekend and the odds on the odd event that's on the horizon. Matt, good afternoon to you, my friend. Much as it pains Mr. Keown, let's discuss it. From your point of view, Arsenal 0, City 2.
Yeah, good morning, fellas. I watched the majority of that game yesterday. City were 41-20 to win the cup in normal time prior to the match. Around about mid-September, you could have got City at sixes to win the whole thing. I thought Arsenal set up a little bit negative, just 38% possession. There's obviously questions on the goalkeeper with how good David Raya's been through the league, but I get they do the keeper for the cup and stuff like that. But there's question marks over that first goal, certainly. And from a City point of view, Guardiola becomes the first manager to win the EFL Cup 5 times. Can they carry a little bit of confidence and a bit of form into the league? They're 9 points behind Arsenal. They have got a game in hand. They have got to play Arsenal as well. Maybe they can turn it around, but from a bookmaking point of view, Arsenal 1-10 to win the division. We think they're
1-10. Wow.
1-10. Yeah, City a big price at 6-1. I don't know if we've learned anything from that yesterday. Again, from a bookmaking point of view, Jen, we think the title's done, but City need absolutely nothing less than perfection to get anywhere near Arsenal, don't they?
I think realistically, Martin, you're aware, of course you are, that City are still in the hunt for Arsenal in this Premier League title race.
Of course.
But the bottom line is, you need to be crazy to think Arsenal throw it away at this stage.
Well, the Arsenal got to go and win it. No one's going to present it to you. Man City now have shown they're in the mood. And yes, there was a major indication of that. There's any Arsenal fans thinking that this is going to be easy. It certainly isn't going to be. I think if you can win the next game, is it Bournemouth, Matt? The next game for Arsenal. So, yeah. And then they go to the Etihad. Obviously, they had a cup game before that.
Yeah.
If they can win at the Etihad, Jim, just spin this around, then it's going to be theirs, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be the moment, wouldn't it? What about the top half of the Premier League? How's it looking as far as you're concerned at BetMGM then, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Martin's dead right. Arsenal have got to go and win it. Same with the sort of top 3, top 4, top 5. The teams in there have got to put the hand up and say we want to finish in this position. It was a good weekend for Villa, wasn't it? A decent result against West Ham. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet as well. And then I caught a little bit of the Liverpool game. Pretty underwhelmed with them after they were absolutely brilliant at home to Galatasaray through the week. Chelsea, really, really disappointing. I heard a stat on Match of the Day, fellas. Chelsea have been outrun in every single Premier League game so far this season. Which I find absolutely baffling. But in terms of gents, in terms of the odds, Villa were 6-4 for the top 4 last week. They've come into odds on 1-2 now. Liverpool, Chelsea on the drift. Liverpool 41-50 odds on for the top 4 last week. They've drifted to 6-4. Chelsea 2-1 for the top 4 last week. A little drift to 9-4. But I think in terms of Villa, gents, they were winless in 4. Really good to see them. Capitalise on the opportunities that got presented to them by the chasing pack in and around them over the weekend.
It's hard to call though, isn't it, Matt? Top end.
Very much so, mate.
If you look, I was looking at this as well. Newcastle have lost 8 of the last 15 matches. So they're not going to break into it. Chelsea, I think they've lost. Is it 5 of the last 7? Chelsea?
Yeah, well, Chelsea one winning 6, mate, and that's not top 4 form, is it, by a long stretch?
Yeah. The thing is, Simon, when you look at it, Villa now have established themselves a 5-point gap in 4th from Liverpool in 5th. So it's a bit of daylight now there for Unai Emery and Villa.
Absolutely. I mean, Liverpool sort of gave the performance that their manager signalled by getting beat by Brighton on the early kickoff. With their big squad.
No, we're going to get to that.
I mean, Villa have finally won a game in recent times because they've been poor in recent times, and they've got a result. And on the balance of probability, beating West Ham is a decent result because West Ham have gone to Man City, got a draw the previous week or the week before that, and now they've gone to Villa and got beat. So it's a good result for Villa. McGinn's back in the side, creates a different outcome.
Made a big difference.
And neither Liverpool, Chelsea can get a run of games going to take advantage of Villa's recently poor form, which they've now put right. So,
and who's to say John McGinn isn't the headline maker out in America when we were out there at the World Cup? Please. Thank you. What about the Scottish Premiership then? Our old chum Martin O'Neill. Oh dear. Matt, tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, never good when you lose a game for Celtic, but particularly when Rangers and Hearts both win over the weekend. Hearts 4 points in front of Celtic, 2 points in front of Rangers. We've had them in the title race all year, gents, but they've never really been odds-on favourites. As it's getting to the business end, they've come right into 27-20. Rangers 6-4. Celtic, massive price, Jim. I never thought I'd be saying Celtic 5-2 to win the Scottish Premier League title.
Wow.
We look at the form guide. Hearts have got 12 points from the last 18, so have Rangers, and Celtic 10 points from the last 18. And like I say, nothing but perfection up there to catch Hearts is good enough. Danny Roll's done a brilliant job since coming in October 25. I think he's around about nearly 2 points per game. European form's been patchy, but they're on an upward trajectory. I think, gents, since 1984-85 season, when none other than Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen broke the old firm, I think we might see it again this year, fellas. Yeah. Who's to say Hearts can't hang on? The bookies certainly think so.
Well, they're on 66 points, Rangers on 63, Celtic on 61. The thing is this, Simon, Celtic have lost 8 games in this campaign. Rangers have lost 2, Hearts have lost 5. Roll has got them on a roll at the moment. We shall see. But it's certainly Rangers coming right into the frame. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
It wouldn't be a Monday following a Tottenham Hotspur defeat if we didn't entertain Angry Matt, as he's become known here at talkSPORT. Matt, the Tottenham fan. And Matt, what do you know, has called in. Matt, good afternoon. Where are you at after that home defeat to Forest, mate?
Well, guys, nice speaking to you.
Nice to speak to you, Matt.
It's not a great position to be in, to be honest. And thanks to Martin's team, the gloss, the pressure has been taken away because you guys are too busy. You media lot are too busy battering a team that's 9 points clear, and you're looking for a downfall from that football club. Yet you look down the road and you guys can't even have the decency within yourselves to actually start pointing fingers, and all you want to do is blame manager after manager and that player and the other player, but you just can't bring it to yourselves to actually go, do you know what? It was that previous chairman, that parasite, which I'll never give him airtime to say his name because he's Simon's mate, who he can't even have the guts, because he's too busy protecting his mate, to have the guts to actually go, do you know what? Actually, it stemmed from him because they told him, do what you please within the margins. He then does what he wants.
Yeah, but Matt, here's the thing, mate. Daniel Levy wasn't playing on the pitch yesterday when you lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest.
Jim, let me explain something to you, mate.
Yes.
Let me explain something to you. You got talkSPORT producers, yeah? They brought in Jim White, okay? Why did they bring Jim White? Because they felt Jim White can do a job. Now, if Jim White doesn't do a good job, it's not Jim White's fault, is it? If Jim White is a poor presenter, we're not going to point the finger at Jim White. We point the finger at who put him there. And that's how it works. Yeah, you've got to and Simon knows this. Simon doesn't want to admit this, but that's the reality. Yeah. Yesterday, Mikel Arteta, out of loyalty, played that goalkeeper. Yeah. Now, realistically, even Martin could admit Raya should have played. But you know what? Out of loyalty, he did that, and it backfired. And that shows you that his number 2 isn't good enough.
Well, Matt, I know you're close to peaking at volcanic level, but let's just put some of those points to Simon. Is this the legacy of Daniel Levy? As Matt began the call with "nice to speak to you, lads," and has gone into orbit since. But what would you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, he appointed Thomas Frank, so Thomas Frank wasn't doing the greatest of jobs. I mean, it's not a grown-up conversation, is it? Matt just wants to shout and scream and tell everyone what he thinks. The fact of the matter is that there are lots of nuances and context. If Tottenham Hotspur were being judged, this squad of players and this management team were good enough to achieve a top 10 finish for Tottenham Hotspur. They're not good enough to be in the top 6. And that can be a frustration. And I understand that to Tottenham fans because they look at it and say, well, actually, we were a big club. We want to be in the top 6. I've never made the argument or defended Daniel Levy relentlessly against the argument that Tottenham could do better. That's just a misquote because someone wants to rant and rave about their own view. The fact is they shouldn't be a bottom 4 side. And that's got nothing really to do with Daniel Levy. This squad of players, if you're judging them by the expectations that Spurs fans like Matt might have of being a successful football club, yes, you can blame that at Daniel. If you're saying that squad of players is a bottom 4 relegation side, then that's something else other than the chairman. That's to do with the players, and that's to do with the manager.
That's fair, Matt, isn't it? Just before you leave us.
Listen, the reality is we was in the top 4, Simon. Yeah, this is to Simon. We was in the top 4 with Conte. Conte come out and told everybody that everybody decided to take the mickey out of him, but he told the truth. Now, the reality is you're telling me that we should be a top 10 side with this squad. Well, let me tell you, Simon, the league table doesn't lie, my friend. We finished 17th last year for a reason. And this year, we're in the same position. Now, don't tell me we're a top 10 side. We was a top 4, top 3, top 2 side with Poch and Antonio Conte. Your mate run us down, yeah? Now these owners are even worse. And I've spoken to someone, and I'm not going to give his name. I had an in-depth conversation with an ex-player yesterday.
Did he get a word in?
Outside the stadium, right? And the guy genuinely told me, don't panic. And I'm like, mate, seriously, don't panic. He goes, I'm sure we'll stay up. But his words were, we've tried speaking to the owners. Like, we tried to give our opinion. They don't want to listen. And that's not just the owners. It's Vinay as well. And I'll be honest with you, how that guy is still at my football club, how he's got there in the first place. But do you know what he said to me? He said to me, your mate, Simon, was the one that brought him into the football club. Now,
yeah, he did. He brought him in as a commercial guy to be number 2, not number 1. Absolutely right.
Simon, you don't do that. You don't do that. Regardless what commercial reason, we do not have that at Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, Matt, in a word, mate, well, let's finish just with one word. You stay up, yes or no?
Before that, let me go back to that one little thing. Simon turned around and said that Romero's a disgrace. Romero's a cheat. That's a disgraceful thing for you to say, Simon. That guy plays for Tottenham Hotspur, and I saw him on the field yesterday.
Matt, are you under the impression that I'm deaf?
No. Do you know why? You push my decibels up when you turn around and call.
Not really. I didn't even utter a word, and you were off at full tilt.
Do you know what, Matt? I hope your team. I hope your team, when it next plays with just half of the passion that you show for your team, because we're not quite seeing that.
Exactly.
From your beloved
Matt, we
Spurs
want to thank you for your call this lunchtime, slightly over 12:30 as Matt takes a brief lie down.
How do you feel that Jamie's wearing your mask? How do you feel about that?
I can't even see him. I can't see him.
I haven't got the mask on. I haven't got the mask on.
Fully got it on.
See it.
Breathing in there the lot.
Do you know what? All I can say is I wish I had the mask on now.
To be fair, you look like Ange.
It's just who we are, mate.
Your team play like
Seriously, though, mate. We're senior.
Can we end it now?
Mate. You've turned into a meme club, you are.
Can we end this interview now?
No.
Hold on, say that again.
You've turned into a meme football club.
I remember. I mean, the last week, I don't think I've ever known a week like it, right? So you go back to Wednesday of last week and 74 minutes on the clock, and you think about what's happened. Conceded 5 goals in 30 minutes.
Slap.
Jesus Christ. Listen,
has anyone seen Candy? Dennis Wise.
Right, okay, hold on.
Solar.
Yeah, hold on.
Listen, who's that?
No, leave it, man. Leave it. No, leave it. No, I'm doing it. No.
But did you think you would come from 3-0 down? Did he think he'd come from 3-0 down?
He was confident. It was encouraging signs, he said.
Are you
Encouraging signs.
PSG?
I'm a United fan.
He's a bloody United fan.
Hey!
Don't swear.
Come on, boys. Listen, at the end of the day.
Hold on, who are you playing in the Champions League?
No, listen, who's going to play next year? Who's going to play next year?
Champions League. I'm getting sick of United fans.
Arsenal struggling with the psychological burden of getting this season over the line. Former midfielder Emmanuel Petit has told talkSPORT after Man City's second, only Declan Rice seemed to react.
Try to say to his teammates, come on guys, it's not over, we have to do something in this game. And but I had the feeling from the stadium where I was seated that the game was already over.
Manu Petit also criticised Mikel Arteta for sticking with Kepa, whose error led to City's first.
Feelings for me are not concern, but you have to make choices, for the best of the club and the best of the team and the fans.
After City's Carabao Cup win, Pep Guardiola said he didn't mean to disrespect anyone with his wild Wembley celebrations. Elsewhere today, a man from Oldham's been charged with entering a stadium without a ticket at Wembley, the first of its kind under a new law. He's in court in May. If found guilty, he faces a 5-year banning order and a fine of up to £1,000. Now, as we head into the international break, it's thought Dan Ballard will miss Northern Ireland's World Cup playoff with Italy this week. He's got a hamstring injury, while Eberechi Eze is ruled out of this England camp and Harvey Barnes is set to replace him. Don't forget, England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT this Friday night. And Atleti's Antoine Griezmann is set to sign for Orlando City in MLS this summer as a free agent. There's more at talksport.com.
White and Jordan's weekend football roundup on talkSPORT with Trustford. Discover the world of Trustford for you at trustford.co.uk.
Yep, we're going to do this with Trustford, and we're honing in on someone who really has made us sit back and think, wow, look at that. What are they doing? And the spotlight, I'm delighted to tell all Evertonians this Monday lunchtime, falls on you. Everton are up to 8 thanks to victory over Chelsea, and they're now just 3 points adrift of 5th placed Liverpool, who they host next at the Hill Dickinson. It still seems strange saying that, but it's true. No Goodison, it's a Hill Dickinson. It marks successive home league wins for the first time. So it's very much lift off for the Hill Dickinson. David Moyes, not unexpectedly, is thrilled about where it's taken them and what it might lead to.
It changed an awful lot of things that what we done at West Ham the minute we got European football. It altered, a lot of the way we all looked and the way we, the club was. What it done for the West Ham supporters to be on a European tour, winning group stages, and whether it was the Europa League or the Conference. So I can imagine if we could possibly do it, what it would do to the crowds here. We've got 53,000, I think. Is it 50? Yeah, 52,500. We'd be selling out all those games because Evertonians are desperate to get back in amongst it and they want to be challenging about or around the big competition. So, look, we'll try, but look, if we don't make it, then we won't. I don't think we'll turn around and say it's been incredibly disappointing. I think we'll probably more likely say, hey, we've probably had a pretty good successful season, but we've got 7 games to go and we're going to have to win another couple of big games, and I'm going to need the atmosphere in the crowd to play a big part.
You know, hats off to David Moyes, Simon. He's somebody we like and we admire.
Yep.
But for in previous years, it's been successive relegation battles for Everton. Now, with his late burst, they're in the hunt for Europe. I mean, it's quite remarkable where he's got them to.
It's the perfect response to a new stadium, isn't it? This is precisely what they wanted by moving into this stadium, was to have this feel-good factor, because they haven't had huge amounts of money. They've had a change of ownership because Moshiri didn't know what he was doing and spent lots and lots of money. No one can criticise the amount of money that he spent. He's made it poorly and made bad decisions, and subsequently Everton got themselves into all kinds of trouble with being put under special measures, being managed by the Premier League in terms of what they could buy, what they could sell, and how they could manage their finances. And now they're in a slightly different position. They're still not spending enormous amounts of money. They've got a different owner with Friedkin coming in and a different perspective. David Moyes is a proven, established Premier League manager. The only time that David Moyes looked out of sorts in the Premier League was at Sunderland, and that was a very brief period. At West Ham, you know, he did a decent job. He got treated poorly first time around. They brought him back when they realised the error of their ways. Post Pellegrini, when he came back in after Pellegrini had spent all the money and got them West Ham into a decent position. It'll be interesting to see this moment in time how Everton fans view Moyes and how long they'll continue to view him in a certain way, because we see this attitude from football fans that pivots away from, we're grateful for the achievements, we're grateful for getting ourselves away from jeopardy, we're building a football club, don't like the style of play. And that's where David suddenly falls foul. He does great things at West Ham, gets them into European spots, wins a European competition, whatever European competition it is, and he won. And then very shortly after that, he finds himself falling foul of the West Ham fan base. They don't like his brand of football. And it'll be interesting to see, because at the end of his time at Everton, I remember speaking to a lot of Everton fans. I know a lot of die-hard Everton fans that felt that the brand of football that David played back in 2012 wasn't great, and they were running out of patience with it. So right now, they played against a very lacklustre and poor Chelsea side in that game on the weekend.
Oh yeah,
but you can only beat what's in front of you.
I think that David Moyes gets ever better as a manager. It's almost limitless. You know, I'm not sure what age he is. Was it 1,200 games he's had that he's been a manager of? They were 24 points away from home, Jim, until recently for the Burnley game. I went there, watched the game, went to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Fantastic stadium, by the way, beautifully put together. I think the Evertonians are really proud of it, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And it's a good platform for them, but it was becoming an issue. They had one win in 7. They've addressed that now. And the performances from the players, Jim, been Dwight McNeil, a player that looked like he was leaving the football club, now suddenly looking like he really belongs there. Dewsbury Hall, Pickford probably having his best season at the football club. Njai as well. I think he's a top player. Beto finally gets his 2 goals. Lovely finish for the first goal of the weekend. By the way, Chelsea didn't turn up, but they weren't allowed to, because of the way that David Moyes has got this team going, Jim. They're at boiling point at the moment. The Evertonians are really enjoying what he's offering.
Yeah. We'll certainly talk further about Chelsea in the course of this week, because many Chelsea fans asking questions of Liam Senior, even in the short time that he's been there. Everton flying, and is Europe on? You bet it is. That was a look back at the weekend's game, specifically Everton doing a job on Chelsea at the Hill Dickinson, and we did that with TrustSPORT.
White and Jordan's weekend football roundup on talkSPORT with TrustSPORT. Discover great value, expert service and award-winning vehicles at trustford.co.uk.
feel that Arne Slot is getting his excuses in early before they meet PSG?
I just think that ultimately Liverpool have had a great result and well done them. And you know, people suggesting that Arne Slot was under pressure for this game, they've come out and smashed Galatasaray.
Right.
Fantastic. But I don't like managers building in some comfort zone into... There's no need to build up PSG as a boogeyman. There's every suggestion that you shouldn't be sitting there on television like I was advocating for a moment ago saying, we're going to smash PSG, because I know that puts you as a hostage to fortune.
Right.
But there's no need to start building in how good PSG are, what they are and what they're not. Who cares? How good are you and what do you do? And there's no need to build in the fact that you're playing Brighton on Saturday at 12:30, because, by the way, Brighton haven't got the same sort of squad as you got.
All right.
So,
I mean, but surely last night against Galatasaray, it was a near-perfect performance. Is that not what Liverpool fans worldwide have been calling out for? And is it going to go anyway to calming the Slot sceptics, of whom there are many? Ian, big Liverpool fan, you're first up again. What would you like to say? Good morning.
Hi, lads. Okay.
Good,
yeah,
Ian.
I totally agree with Simon. He's getting like a buffer in place there before we play them. He shouldn't be saying things like that. We should just be playing PSG. They're a good side. They won it last year. But at the end of the day, you know, we're Liverpool Football Club. And what we've got to do is just get at them. And the same type of tempo we played last night, that's what we need even more. So I totally agree with Simon. Sometimes in some of his language he says on the interviews, it does sound like he's getting excuses in early, and it gets on my nerves. You know, he fails to realise he's managing one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Moses Utoma versus Jermaine Franklin this Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Yeah, we're going to look ahead to this one in conjunction with DAZN. This weekend, 28th of March in Manchester. It's a big one. Moses Utoma goes in against the American Jermaine Franklin. The fight was due to take place in January. It was postponed until now after Moses suffered an injury in training. What about Franklin, though? He took White and Joshua the distance in 2022 and 2023. He's never been stopped in 26 bouts. He came in recently and joined Simon and myself, and we put a variety of different points to him. We asked him how it felt for him being back in the UK, but this time as an underdog.
I love fighting over here. I love the passion the English fans have for boxing. You know, they love the sport, so I love that they just love the sport. They're very honest about it, so I respect that. And I've been an underdog a lot of my career, so it's nothing new. You know, just another day in the office.
Do you feed off that as a fighter, like, because you've brought over here as Anthony Joshua for his comeback fight, if you like, and the same with Dillian White as well. You didn't come out victorious that time, but this kid now, they're seeing you as a stepping stone, as opposed to, you know, to get onto that next big level, and you the guy to give him the rounds. Do you feed off that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that part I take a little disrespected.
Yeah.
You know, the stepping stone gatekeeper type of thing. I don't appreciate that, but you know.
But that's what I'm saying about feeding off it, like because that's how they'll see you go, right, Jermaine Franklin's going to give us rounds here because this kid can't get any rounds. But that's how they're looking at it.
If they look at me as just rounds, they're gonna be sadly mistaken. You know, I'm in here to fight. I love to fight. I give my heart and soul to this sport. So if they thinking that I'm just gonna be easy rounds, then you know they're sadly mistaken. Well, yeah, I'm trying to be the first to beat them. Forget uncharted territories. I'm trying to be the first to give him to take away his O on his record. So you know, I guess people think like when you got a young superstar that everybody else is just a walkover or a standing stone, but you know. I come to fight. I really come to give it my all and to shock the world.
When you look at Moses, what do you see in front of you?
I mean, I see a good fighter. I see someone that's going to punch and throw a lot of combinations. Style make fights, and you know, all fights are not made at the right time. So, a lot of people prejudge because a guy looked at this way against me, and he looked different against a different opponent.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different times, different fights. You know, I would say that I fought the better version of Dillian White than he fought.
I think that's a fair comment.
I know, Simon, you're sitting right beside Jermaine.
Yeah.
And we're mindful of the fact of what happened when Simon was sitting very close to Deontay Wilder. Do you doubt that Jermaine can take Moses Atoma into the later rounds?
I think he's going to get knocked out. I do. I think I just know. And by the way, saying someone's going to get knocked out is not meant to be disrespectful. I'm not disrespecting Jermaine. I'm looking at the fight, looking at Moses Atoma, looking at what I've seen from Jermaine. And I think that ideally, I don't want to see an early fight. I want to see a good fight. I want to see Jermaine stick it on Moses Atoma. I want to see a good fight. And ultimately, we have an enjoyable evening watching two good fighters put something out. But I think Moses, I don't think he's been in with someone as quick and as fast and at this stage in his career. Going in with Anthony Joshua and Dillian White at their stages in their career is not the same going in with Moses. But on the other side of it, Moses isn't as experienced and as wise as those two fighters.
And that's
so there's a trade-off. But I think, personally, with due respect to the man sitting next to me, I think he's going to get knocked out.
I do remember the change in facial expression of Franklin when you announced that news to him, sitting inches from him. Yes. But you do believe that?
I do. And again, it's not being disrespectful. That's one of the outcomes that happens in a boxing ring. You've got to be able to say it to a fighter, which is, you might not agree with this, and I'm sure you don't, that I think Moses Atoma is 21 years of age. He's a ferocious beast. The only thing that stands against him is a lack of experience. And whilst you can take something from his recent performance against Dillian White, who looked completely washed up at that particular time, and I don't think you take much from Mike Balogun, who we fought previously, he bowled over.
Yeah.
I think so does Duke McKenzie, and so does Paul Smith. There's a distinct possibility that he can go in there and do something to Jermaine Franklin that no one else has done. And if he does that, it becomes the question of what happens, because of course people make a lot of currency out of the fact that Anthony Joshua went 12 rounds with him, Dillian White went 12 rounds with him, and some would argue that Dillian White didn't win that fight.
Yeah,
that Jermaine did. He'll make it ugly and difficult for Moses, but I just think the pace and ferocity that Moses Atoma has is nothing that Jermaine Franklin has seen. I hope it does go long. I hope it is a good fight. I hope that we don't see an ugly fight that's being spoiled by Jermaine not wanting to engage.
Yes.
If he does engage with Moses, he's going to get knocked out.
Yeah.
And I think he will engage with
him.
As
you told him. Yeah.
Well, you asked me.
Yes. No, I did ask you. I just didn't expect
I didn't volunteer that information. You asked me.
I didn't expect you to be so frank in front of Franklin. Don't forget, we'll be building up to that fight all week on talkSPORT, and you can watch the thing live this Saturday only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Moses Atoma versus Jermaine Franklin this Saturday only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Martin, in the build-up yesterday at Wembley, you would be aware, and I certainly was aware of it, one of the big talking points was, have you heard about the result from the North East? Sunderland go to St James's Park and won, and they did. Sunderland completed the domestic double over their rivals thanks to a late 2-1 win at Newcastle, and it sees Sunderland leapfrog Newcastle in the league, 1 point clear in 11th. It's hard to imagine it, Martin, but in their debut Premier League return, are they now firmly out of Newcastle's shadow?
Well, I mean, okay, Eddie was saying about the number of games that they've had to play and the calibre of player they're up against. The squad maybe is not equipped well enough, perhaps, to with all the resources they've got financially. They haven't been able to capitalise on that, have they, because of the financial fair play? So, but in the meantime, Sunderland have caught up with them. I mean, Xhaka is a really important player, by the way. When he was out for a while, Sunderland suddenly started looking like a championship team.
Yeah.
But now that he's back in the team, Brobbey up top, too much to handle. Couldn't deal with him, Jim. And it's all these games, successive games. But it was a big game in the minds of these Newcastle players. They put it there as a one that they could go and win it. And it's tricky now for Eddie between now and the end of the season, Jim, to try and fix this problem.
Well, it is. Simon, a difficult week for him.
Yeah.
7-2 capitulation in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Then they lose at home to their closest of rivals. What is the more chastening result for Eddie?
I think probably the Sunderland result, because it follows on the back of a necessity to bounce back. You've got to live in this city, and the rivalry between these two football clubs is significant. You've already been beaten by them once. The last thing you want to be doing is following up a bad result against Barcelona, where you've had your backsides handed to you in the second half. You want to bounce back and you want to set it right. You want to give the fans something to cheer about. If you look at the atmosphere before the kickoff, it was absolutely electric. If you look at all the tifos that were going on, all that sort of stuff, it was a stadium to be in. They score a goal, and they're in ascendancy, and all of a sudden, I mean, I didn't think they were in control of the game at any point. Sunderland looked to me quite composed, even though Newcastle were full of further and full of bluster initially. Sunderland still, despite the fact their centre back, kicks the ball straight down the middle of the park to one of the Newcastle players, and the goalkeeper and him make a decision that doesn't seem to have a lot of thought behind it, or too much thought behind it.
Yeah.
But Sunderland, you've got to admire them. And the centre forward drove their centre backs mad. He bullied Sven Botman. He bullied Dan Burn, and you don't get to do that very often.
No, true.
Those two boys.
True.
And so fair play to them. But listen, there were many, many sides, irrespective of how much you must congratulate Sunderland, that have come up from the Championship, and in their first season, shown something that people couldn't quite expect. Swansea did it all those years ago by playing a brand of football. Sheffield United came up a couple of years ago and surprised everybody.
Right.
Let's see, with due respect, how they go on next season. And are they still in Newcastle's shadow?
Yeah.
Are they? Newcastle are a bigger club than Sunderland, with due respect to the region, due respect to the two football clubs.
Yeah.
So they will always be, in my view.
Newcastle want to keep their foot on Sunderland. They haven't been able to do that.
No, that's right.
Do you know?
That's right.
And I think that midfield, that engine room, Tonali Guimaraes not available.
Yeah, it's been a big
is a big issue for them. And then obviously the striker issue, Jim, at the start of the season, with Isak disappears. Visa's not been available for most of the season.
Arsenal invincible Martin Keown, you came up trumps today because you had to face up to some tough talking points after your boys lost at Wembley yesterday. What I can tell you is that on Drive today with Martin's new best friend Andy Goldstein will be one Noel Gallagher talking about Manchester City's win. All that with an Arsenal player making the news this lunchtime that he's back in the England squad. Ben White, chosen and called up by Thomas Tuchel. Simon, see you tomorrow at 10.
You will.
Arsenal invincible.
Have a good
thank
week,
you.
guys. Thank you.
It's 1 o'clock.